teachers and is aligned with the trends in education, not only in Jordan, but across the globe. I would like to thank all of you for joining this conference today, and over to my partners and colleagues in this conference who will take you forward. Over to you, Shadi. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdulmajid Shamlawi, for those inspiring remarks and for your continued leadership in advancing education and innovation. And thank you for letting us know about the evolving of this conference during the past 4 years and thanking the local and international partners. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next distinguished speaker representing Georgia State University. Dr. Chris Vargas is a distinguished university professor and associate dean for research in the College of Education and Human Development at Georgia State University. Her internationally recognized work focuses on teacher well-being, mental health, trauma-informed practices, social emotional learning, and the creation of safe and affirming learning environments for students and educators alike. Dr. Vargas also serves as the president of the International School Psychology Association for 2025-2027, reflecting her global impact and commitment to inclusive education and mental health promotion. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Chris Vargas.
Thank you for that warm welcome. It was amazing to see so many people today, and I'm just honored to be here and to be representing Georgia State University. So welcome to everyone, honored guests, honored speakers, everyone who's participating from around the world. As we've said, 22 countries are here today. I want to thank you for your collaboration as we've put together this amazing agenda. I'm so excited for all the topics that will be presented today. Part of my job today is just to talk about Georgia State University. The Georgia State University College of Education started in 1967. So for many of you, that doesn't sound like a very long time, but for us in the United States, we are 59 years old and promising and growing. We are what we call a research intensive institution. So one of our goals is to be collaborating and researching around the world, as you'll see today from some of our presenters. One of our main driving goals is to recruit and retain teachers. And as many of you know, that's not an easy job nowadays with some of the challenges that we've seen post-pandemic. So some of our focus that you'll hear about are things like trauma-informed care, how do we support teachers in classrooms, the growing need to figure out teacher well-being, and how can we continue to support teachers in the classroom after graduation. Our university represents over 150 countries with over 4,000 international students annually, ranking us as one of the most diverse institutions in the United States. Really, I think, supporting the idea of the global community that's represented here today. I do want to talk a little bit about some of the research that Shadi mentioned. I think it's important to know that I grew up a daughter of a public school educator, which is where my passion for supporting teachers comes from. My research has grown around teacher support, teacher well-being, and as mentioned, currently I am running a project with 30 countries around the world, looking at work contexts, teacher well-being, stressors post-pandemic. And so if anyone here wants to reach out to hear more about that project, I'm happy to provide that information. In addition to that, I've been working for many years with Susan Ogletree, who is one of the people who helped support this conference around developing teachers and supporting them in the classroom around social emotional learning, trauma-informed practices, as we've heard today, AI, evidence-based practices, and strategies. So it is my honor to be here to support this conference and to recognize our partnership with everybody that's part of this. In addition to that, it's really, we would be honored to continue our relationship with those who are here and reaching out and asking us how we can actually support you as things go forward. So again, welcome. I'm looking forward to hearing about all the amazing thing that's going on today. And thank you again for your collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Chris Vargas, for your thoughtful and inspiring remarks and for your work in well being. We now move to our keynote address. The five, the five
behaviors
of a cohesive classroom, which will be delivered by our one of our educational nashmiyat, Dr. Juman Al-Bukhari. In this inspiring session, Dr. Al-Bukhari will explore how the principles of trust, healthy conflict, commitment, accountability, and shared results can be adopted from team leadership into educational settings. Dr. Al-Bukhari currently serves as a senior consultant in learning and development at Washington University in St. Louis, holding dual doctorates in linguistics and higher education leadership and practices. She brings a unique combination of academic expertise, leadership insight, and passion for professional growth. Throughout her career, Dr. Al-Bukhari has dedicated herself to empowering educators, strengthening collaboration, and designing impactful leadership and learning initiatives in higher education. She is also a certified master trainer and an expert in organizational and professional development. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Dr. Juman Al-Bukhari.
Thank you. Thank you, Shadi, for this introduction. That's very nice of you. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the fourth English Language Conference in Jordan. First, I would like to thank all the conference organizers, Queen Rania Teacher Academy, Georgia State University for taking the lead in organizing this year's conference. Now in its fourth year, I'm very excited to see the conference in its fourth year bringing together participants from 27 countries. I heard Dr. Kristen mention 22. We received proposals though from 37 countries. And I'm so excited to see, I've seen in the chat all of you coming from Jordan, Egypt, Uzbekistan, and other countries. Welcome everybody. And so this conference bringing together participants from 27 years, 27 countries through a virtual format that has created new opportunities for international engagement and collaboration. My team and I, a group of 6 professors from the University of North Georgia and Georgia State University, launched this conference in 2021. And what began as a small summit featuring workshops delivered by alumni of our TEFL program at the University of North Georgia has grown into an international conference over the years. And Mr. Shamlawi, the CEO, mentioned earlier some collaboration with the Modern American School. I am a Modern American School alum, and the first year of the conference was actually hosted at the American School. Our program funded 120 Jordanian English teachers. I can see some of our teachers here in the chat. So the program was funded for 3 years. So my teachers, I miss you so much. If you are from cohort 1, 2, or 3, please share in the chat the number 1, 2, or 3. It depends on whatever cohort you were in. I can see some of you, Zaid and others, Amira, Rawan. Welcome everybody. I'm excited to have you here. To learn more about this in the future, you need to follow me on social media. At the end of the sessions today, I will show you a QR code of my LinkedIn so we stay connected and you might hear more about future collaborations. Special thanks to Dr. Susan Ogletree, Dr. Bill Boozer, and Mr. Subhi Al-Muqra from Georgia State University. Dr. Shadi Al Khuli and Ms. May Al Hawaitat from QRTA, everyone working behind the scenes, including Ms. Zain Al Fawaz, the Senior Communications Manager. I'd like to recognize again Mr. Abdelmajid Shamlawi, the QRTA CEO, Ms. Rula Saeed, Deputy CEO and Director of Education, and Ms. Nabila Bashir, Director of Business Excellence and Growth, for their continued support. Now that actually I was going to introduce myself, but thank you, Shadi, for introducing me. I am currently a senior consultant in the Learning and Development team within Washington University, WashU. Thanks for inviting me. Before I begin my presentation, I was going to ask you to introduce yourself, what country you come from. However, I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. Now I have another question for you, besides introducing yourself. Since it's 4 p.m. in Jordan and 8 a.m. here in the US Central Time, I would love for you to share in the chat, how are you showing up today? Are you energized, excited, tired, or perhaps tired but still ready to learn? Excited, amazing. Okay, great. Awesome, awesome, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ready to learn. Awesome. This is great. And positive. I see positive. Very good. Okay. Thanks for sharing honestly, and for your enthusiasm and willing to learn. Next, my following question to you is my second question. On a scale of 1 to 7, in the chat, with 1 being the lowest and 7 being the highest, how engaged are you and ready to participate today? How prepared are you to interact, learn throughout the conference? Awesome. I'm seeing 5, 6, 7. Great. Okay, I'm glad I don't see 1, 2, or 3. Very good, because I know it is Saturday after a long weekend. Yesterday it was family day, right? With the siblings, the nieces and the nephews, it was very loud. I understand that you would prefer to be sitting on your couch, right? Watching TV in a quiet room. But thank you for being here with us. Thank you for sharing your response as well. I see, of course, 5, 6, and 7s. I highly appreciate that. However, I do have one request from you. My request is that you try to remove at least one more distraction from around you so you can help fully engage with us today in this learning experience. Even if you put 7 for yourself, perhaps you want 8 out of 7. So my tip is perhaps silence your phone notifications, move to a quieter room. If your kids may be playing around and they have the TV on, maybe move to another quieter spot. If your window is open, you live in the city, the traffic, kids out playing in the street, probably close your window. Well, you are an adult. I don't tell you what to do, but even a small adjustment can help us become more present, connected, and engaged with one another today. Next, I'm gonna go, now that I checked on you and I can see how engaged and present and ready you are, I'm gonna start with and I hope you're not this guy on the upper left here. So be engaged, let's get started. So teams, let me start talking about teams. Since childhood, right, since we were little, we've all been placed on teams, sport teams, project teams, work teams, but most of us were simply told to play nice, right? Within a team, just play nice. And everything would work out magically. In reality, though, teams often struggle with politics, lack of directions, conflict, and self interest. Right? We've all seen the show, the Office, and we've seen all the politics. It was a comedy show, but definitely you learn a lot from that show. It's an eye opening, right? So, effective teamwork requires more than just getting along. That's where the 5 behaviors model comes in. And myself, as a certified trainer in the 5 behaviors, based on this framework, it is basically based on the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. This powerful framework outlines these 5 key behaviors that help individuals become better teammates and build stronger, more cohesive teams. why Lencioni works in a classroom. Now, a classroom is at its core a team, right? A group of learners and a teacher leader working toward shared outcome, right? We always need to focus on the outcome. Lencioni's model maps naturally into that dynamic. So when we look at the old model, teacher centered, right? Students managed by a teacher, whereas the new model, it is more student centered, right? Where students function as a cohesive team and they hold each other accountable. They are accountable to each other and shared purpose. So we're applying this to transform your classroom from a managed group into a thriving learning community. And these are the 5 behaviors. And the focus here is definitely trust. Trust is the foundation, and everything else builds on it. Now, every time you see those stripes, this is a new behavior. This is behavior number 1. The trust that basically Lencioni talks about is vulnerability-based trust. And this is based on the willingness to say, I don't know, even you as a teacher, ask for help, own mistakes with fear of ridicule. An example I can give you is when I taught Arabic for 17 years in different universities before I shifted my career into leadership and organizational development within higher education in the US. I taught Arabic, and at the same time I was learning Spanish. So my students at the University of North Georgia, we have high population of Hispanic students. They spoke Spanish. So I did practice Spanish beginning of every class, and I made mistakes, and that made them feel at ease that that's fine to make mistakes. So teachers move that by building trust and say it loud. I made a mistake in my thinking. Let's fix this together. Even I taught them Amiya and Fusha, which is modern standard Arabic. I did make mistakes in Fusha, and I said, oops, excuse me, this is what happened. I made a mistake. Let's fix it together. When teachers model vulnerability, students learn it is safe to do the same. And here are 3 activities from about the trust, building trust. What I want to tell you today, I'm going to go through the 5 behaviors. I will explain them. I'm not going to explain the activities, and that is for the sake of time. Towards the end of the session, I will share in the chat PDFs of action plan where you can start applying those activities, and the activities are explained in the PDFs. Now, connecting trust and conflict, how does all is related to the next dysfunction, the fear of conflict. By trust, a team makes conflict possible. When I trust you, I know you're not going to take this on me. I can share my thoughts, you share your thoughts. And by conflict, we always hear that we need to avoid conflict. Actually, we don't need to avoid conflict. When we avoid conflict, we are avoiding everybody's sharing their opinion and thoughts. So we need to master conflict. And here we're talking about the second behavior, not destructive or personal conflict. Lencioni refers to productive ideological conflict, healthy debate around ideas. Strong teams are willing to openly disagree, challenge ideas respectfully, and engage in meaningful discussion because they care about the team's success and not their own. Again, those are our 3 activities that you will go through and read more about it in the PDF. So make sure before you leave today to download the PDFs I'm going to share with you. Next, how do we connect conflict with commitment? Yes, when team members understand and know that we all shared our thoughts, yes, there was conflict, disagreements back and forth. Yes, we committed to one, we all voted to one perspective, but we know that we heard everybody. That's where commitment comes in. So achieving commitment, commitment is the third behavior. It means the team members leave discussion aligned around a common direction, even if they initially disagree. And this is when we have clarity, everybody shared, we all voted, and so you have more buy-ins. So co-creation here turns rule into shared ownership. Again, these are our 3 activities. You can read about them more in the PDF. Next, commitment to accountability. When we all commit and we know that everything is clear, the tasks are divided among the team members, that's where we have more accountability. By accountability, Lencioni doesn't mean me holding myself accountable. It means we hold every team member holds the others accountable, right? I know that this is your task. Task one is based on task two. So, me and myself, as a person who's working on task two, I would hold maybe Shadi accountable and say, oh, Shadi, where's part one of the task? I can't start unless you finish. So, that's where accountability comes in. And then maybe Shadi needs some help. Maybe I need some help. So, that's where the collaboration also continues. So, here, accountability is the fourth behavior, holding each other accountable. Next, of course, accountability connects with results. Um, and if team members are not being held accountable for their contribution, they will be more likely to turn to their own needs and interest and not considering the collective result, right? So this is how we connect accountability with results. Next, the final behavior is focusing on results. It's the ultimate shared success. And definitely students learn and see learning as a team mission where the class went together rather than competing for individual recognition. And I know an issue in the Jordanian schools where teachers struggle, and I see that on social media, on Facebook. Teachers posting, oh my God, it is Thursday. I didn't finish unit 5. They do have a set of time. They have to cover the material. So maybe have that result, that outcome or shared success with your students. Today is Sunday. Thursday, we have to finish unit 5. You divide the tasks and make sure that all students hold each other accountable. Student A is responsible of student B. Student B holds student C accountable, and so on. They check on each other. And I see the smiley emojis. Yes, I follow you on social media. I saw the teachers' communication on social media. Again, those are our 3 activities. So we have 5 behaviors, 3 activities each, and that is a total of 15 activities. I know teachers love activities. So I'm going to share the details in the chat in a PDF very shortly. Summary and action. So each behavior builds on the one below with trust, nothing else holds. With all 5 in place, a classroom becomes a truly learning community. This is the big picture. So very quick here for teachers. Lead with vulnerability, model the behaviors you want to see. You are a member of the team, not just its manager or leader or supervisor. The same thing applies to a group of teachers and a leader. In Jordan, we have teachers and supervisors. Again, I'll be sharing that in the chat as well. I'm finishing very fast, Shadi. For students, own your learning, support your peers. Trust is built through consistent, respectful action every single day. You can lose trust in a second on some behavior we have done in the class. So you always want to make sure that you work on that. Create space for teachers to practice these strategies. A cohesive staff builds cohesive classrooms. Finally, take this insights into action. Write down those. These are your self-reflection. You will work on it on your own later. One behavior I will strengthen, one pattern I will stop, and one commitment I will hold myself to. These are another call to action. Think about these questions when I'm going to be sharing the slides with you. So I do have an invitation for you. Everybody, please use my slides. Present this work. There will be notes under the slides. Share this with other teachers. Train the teachers and the principal and the leader in the school to use this framework to create all these, to practice those 5 behaviors. In the PDF, you will see this into practice. You will see week 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on. So you can work on the framework. Please connect with me on social media. Follow me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You can scan the QR code. This is where you will hear about future programs, funding that we hope to have in the coming few. Thank you, everybody, and shukran. Before, as you prepare for your panel discussion, Shadi, everybody, very quick, I'm going to share in the chat this link several times. Please fill out this form. If you are interested in me sharing the PDFs and the slides, question at the end. The question at the end is for you to participate with us in a workshop coming up in July. And you will see more details about it in the link. Thank you, Shadi. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Juman. Thank you, Doctor. Yes, would you like to close your shared window? Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Al-Bukhari, for this inspiring keynote and for setting the tone for collaboration and trust among the team, and for also today's important conversations. We now move to our featured panel discussion, English language in a changing world, building inclusive classrooms for diverse futures. This conversation will be led by my QRTA colleague and conference co-organizer, one of our Nashmiyat, educational Nashmiyat, May Al Hwaitat, who will guide an engaging conversation with distinguished educational leaders from the Philippines, Jordan, and the United States as they explore how English language education can become more inclusive, responsive, and empowering for learners across diverse contexts and communities. The floor is yours, May.
Thank you, Dr. Shadi. Good evening, everyone. It is a great pleasure to welcome you today at our panel discussion on inclusive English education in a rapidly changing world shaped by technology, diversity, and innovation. As educators, researchers, and leaders, we are continuously asking ourselves a lot of important questions. How can English classroom become more inclusive? How can we ensure equitable access to learning opportunities? And how can we prepare learners not only for exam, but also for a meaningful participation in the world? Today, we are fortunate to have three distinguished panelists from different international contexts who bring expertise in digital learning, language education, inclusion, and teacher preparation. I am so excited for this session that we are going to have a thoughtful, practical, and inspiring conversation. Thank you all for being here. Now, let me start by introducing our first panelist, David Lazaro. Our first panelist is David Lazaro, Director of VIDRAC, an educational initiative founded by Her Majesty Queen Rani Al Abdullah that serves millions of Arabic speaking learners across the MENA region and refugee. Based in Amman, Jordan, David leads IDRAC work in business development, project design, international partnership across the Middle East, the United States, Asia, and Europe. IDRAC continues to expand inclusive educational opportunities through digital learning across countries, including Jordan, Iraq, Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, Morocco, and the Gulf region. Please join me in welcoming David Lazaro. And I also would like to introduce our second panelist, Dr. Sue Casson is a professor of language, culture, and education at Georgia State Universities, a former AFL and ESOL teacher. Her work draws from international teaching and research experiences in Mexico, China, and the Middle East. And that also includes the Fulbright Award experience. Her scholarship focuses on ethical and equitable approach to AI integration, language, and inclusion. She's also the author of award-winning books and numerous publications in internationally recognized journals, including TESOL Quarterly and TESOL Journal. So it's really nice to have you, Dr. Sue. And our third panelist today, Matt Reza Liustacchio, is an associate professor V at Isabella State Universities in Philippines. She earned her Doctor of Philosophy in Language Education from St. Louis Universities, and she's currently served as the Research and Development Director of the ISU. In addition to that, she manages the university's language center and oversees the graduate program of the Department of Language and Literature under the College of Art and Science. So it's really nice to have all of you today with us. To begin our discussion today, I would like to start with Dr. I would like to start with Dr. Teresa. Doctor, from your point of view and from your experience in Philippines, in what ways can English classrooms move beyond language instruction to become a space for empowerment? And that's maybe one of the focus that Mhandis Abdelmajid focuses on the idea of empowerment. So we would like to hear from you.
Hello, everyone. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's evening here in the Philippines. And mabuhay, everyone. So, I am Teresa. I am, of course, from the northern part of the Philippines. And here in our university, our students are multilingual. We have diverse uh, classroom strategies used by the teachers. And for too long, I know this is also the state of other universities, not only in the Philippines, but in the other in other countries as well. The traditional English classroom felt like a courtroom because the teacher was the judge, of course, and then our pen as the teacher would always correct our students, the mistakes of our students. And empowerment for me begins when we transition from these rules, from these prescriptive rules to inclusive linguistic policing, to linguistic paving, using language to clear paths for student agency. So in our university, at Isabel State University, empowerment looks like moving away from the rigid, moving away from the prescriptive rules of grammar, from the centric essays, and instead asking students to conduct localized advocacy campaigns. So for example, we have a general education course, purposive communication, wherein the students would work with community members, agriculture staff, or farmers, I should say. And then from that community engagement, they would work on projects that would build empowerment among the farmers, the women, the men, of course, the LGBTQ community, and the others. And these particular projects um, would amplify as proposed projects to the local government unit here, and it becomes a launchpad for social justice and for other projects, starting from the very community to the larger part of not only in the university but also to the larger part of the community. So that is when empowerment takes place in our classroom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And maybe while we are talking about empowerment, we are in a changing world, and our world is now shaped by AI and globalization. So that leads me to ask David about the core skills that English learners should have in order to thrive in inclusive and future work-ready environments. So, from your point of view, what are these skills that we should give to our learners? Yes, David, the floor is yours.
Thank you, May. And of course, thank you everyone for being here today. It's a timely question. Just this morning, I was in the Dead Sea with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince for their annual Tawasul Forum. And that's the same question they're saying, with all of these emergent technologies, not just in the classroom, but also in the economy, being adopted left and right, what can we say about the people who leave school and then enter the workforce? And what skills do we want them to have? What do they not have? And while everybody agrees that technological, let us say, competencies are important, we can't do so sacrificing sort of, as you said, May, the core skills along the way, the ability to communicate, the ability to work on a team, the ability to solve problems. It's really great to see everyone being an effective prompt engineer, but if they just take whatever comes out of the model and just puts it on their exam or puts it on their essay without necessarily doing that critical analysis exercise, we're not really fulfilling our educational mandate. And so looking at core skills, again, goes back to those familiar ranges of what we call business ready or soft skills or career readiness skills of facilitating communication in the classroom, giving students problems to work out that technology supports or aids in facilitation, but does not fully produce a finished product for them. It still requires that sort of group think coming through. Dr. Juman was actually touching on it earlier, and that we need to put challenges in front of people that they will fail at sometimes, because part of the learning process, including language, involves failing. And as Dr. Juman mentioned, sometimes the best way to do it is publicly, because you can show everybody else that the sky didn't fall, nothing got set on fire, and it was all okay. And as Dr. Juman mentioned, when she was learning Spanish, I was doing the same when I was learning English up until today. I still make plenty and plenty of mistakes, and it's so important for the educators, that sort of font of knowledge in a classroom, to always represent the ability to fail, in addition to the other roles that we fulfill as teachers, and saying, I too make mistakes, I too forget things, and guess what? It's okay. It's part of the learning process. It's the way that we get better when it comes to language. So globalization, AI, these are really, really fancy and attractive terms, but we as educators must look at adoption in a way that meaningfully empowers those core skills that we can't forget when we leave the schooling or our academic experience or phase of our lives, whether it's English or any other topic. Thank you, May.
Thank you. Thank you, David. And I would also like and appreciate how you connected this language learning with the idea of the digital literacy and how are we ready for the future readiness to include AI and to have all that brands in our education. And that's naturally bring us to the role of teachers preparation and the educational equity with Dr. Su. So, Dr. Su, from your point of view and from your experience, how can teacher training programs better prepare educators to manage culturally and linguistically diverse classrooms? And at the same time, how could we ensure that our English instruction doesn't marginalize students' identities and linguistics background? The floor is yours, Dr. Su.
Marhaba. Good morning. I'm
Ahlan.
in Mexico, actually. Thank you for having me here. It's exciting to be with this prestigious panel for this really beautiful conference. So, May, this first question, we need to define for teacher education programs, what do we mean by equitable access? And it means that the students that we eventually will teach need to be included in the way that we create curriculum, so that it speaks to including their backgrounds, kind of like what Dr. Teresa was saying, not just performing learning by memorizing a short-term list of vocabulary words or answers that students will soon forget about maybe being a tourist in Great Britain or the United States. It means allowing students to learn communication skills that relate to their own context, including things like local festivals, indigenous ecological knowledge, national historic events. And for example, countries such as Vietnam and Chile have shifted national English curriculum in just these ways, shifting the focus from there, which was this imaginary of Great Britain or the United States, to here, which is the context that speaks to the students' learning of English. There's two key reasons. First, we can all work toward the goal of creating a better, more just and loving world through education. That's why we all became teachers, by working to better involve our students in their own learning, thus increasing their motivation, which is always a challenge for teachers. This is the research best way to get students to learn language, which is our ultimate goal. And so regarding this better world, we know that English has shifted from being the lingua franca, or the language of trade and understanding each other across borders, as if it were maybe better than the other 6,000 languages in the world, where this one version of maybe US or British English was the right one. I'm using a lot of air quotes here, and I hope people can follow along visually. And it shifted from being this idea of the lingua franca to what theorists such as Suresh Kanagaraja call, by inverting these words, lingua franca English, or again, lingua franca English, meaning that that language is fluid and it smooths and adapts to different digital and geographic communities. If you're online gaming, which is something that our kids are doing, we want to teach them the appropriate language for that domain. If we are, using the kind of language for social media or, music, that's the kind of language we'd use. And then importantly, Kanagaraja and so many other brilliant theorists turn to the idea of translanguaging. And I know there'll be some discussion today in some of the sessions. And of course, this is where other languages are allowed to blend seamlessly, both to improve language skills in target languages, but also to allow the full expression of one's identity. So, for instance, if you are having your students write a haiku or a short poem, and you want students to make expressions of love, you might allow them the space to say, for example, "You are my heart, Habibi." There's no good replacement for the term Habibi. Why would we want to change that? So we're no longer in a time where we're thinking about language as completely separate, but instead, the flexibility of languaging the act of communicating.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Su.
Sure.
And maybe that leads us to our closing questions to all our panelists. If you could recommend one actionable step that every English teacher can take tomorrow to make their classroom more inclusive, what would it be? So we would like to hear from you. So starting with you, Dr. Su.
Yes. So first, we need to allow meaningful instruction that gets to center students' backgrounds as part of the curriculum. as well, so that the students can be interested in what they can learn from other English speaking parts of the world. On one hand, that might mean allowing children from agricultural spaces to apply critical thinking in English about how they name their contexts, maybe the foods that they grow and the ways that they grow it, while also even using English to thinking about why they grow those things. Are they, for example, growing olives because there's an ancestral pride and connection to their lands, perhaps to olive groves in Jordan? Or are they growing export crops that were never native to the lands that they're on to feed a part of the world that demonstrates maybe an uneven power balance? Maybe this can get into the discussion of problems of exploitation and labor, and using English to then map into letter writing campaigns that are authentic ways of performing English. So that's my one. I have some other ideas, but I want to hear from the other panelists too.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Su. David, we would like to hear from you.
I really like what Dr. Su said, and I might like take it a step further based on just what Idrak does in Jordan and the region, in that
Yes.
all of our courses and our content are for free and by Arabic subject matter experts. And that includes the English language courses, which is some of the most popular content we have on there. So our mission, and kind of what I would maybe highlight here, is how technology continues to be sort of the great equalizer when it comes to education, where we can reach the far-flung parts of the region or where infrastructure is maybe not as robust, in addition to sort of the 5G high fiber optic elements of our region as well. In the sense that in this region, in the Middle East and North Africa, English can often be the sort of segregator between the haves and the have-nots, right? Those who go to the fancy private schools versus those who may not. And their level of English may correspond to that, which again charts out some sort of future economic prosperity model. And so teachers, when incorporating technology, it's a really exciting thing. I've been to lots of classrooms where teachers will show a 15-minute video for their students and then look at me and say, see, I use technology. And I'm like, okay, but what have the students walked away from other than being crushed with a 15-minute video of really advanced language that maybe only one or two maybe followed along? So when it comes to using those kind of tools that we get really excited about, really kind of look back at your lesson planning as a teacher and saying, how am I making sure that everybody in my class has a meaningful way to interact with this media that I'm going to be using, rather than just maybe the 3 or 4 or 5, 10 really advanced students that seem to grab onto things right away and run away. And you say, okay, well, because they got it, we can move on to the next thing, because then you're always going to be flying with the fastest. And I know this is a phrase a lot of us teachers have heard before. And frankly, all of us are, let's say, guilty of it to some extent, and saying, okay, you guys got it, so everybody got it. Let's move on. So just bear those in mind when we're taking these really fancy new tools that we're really excited to see deployed in classrooms, and saying, if I have a class of 30, am I confident that this lesson educates and empowers all 30 of them to move on through the next phase?
Thank you. Thank you, David. And Dr. Teresa?
Hello again. So, I agree with Dr. Sue and Dr. David, because here in the Philippines also we have a problem with the internet, of course, and with that of Dr. Sue. I commend her because it's really happening here in the Philippines that when we talk of English, it should be um, the the first. It's not actually the first language, but it should be taught at school, and it should be the language of or all our students for them to be capable really in the workplace later. But I would like to say that one language does not have to die for the other to live. So in the Philippines, we now have the MTB-MLE, or the mother tongue-based multilingual education, though it's highly debatable now because of the situation here, of course, in the Philippines. But I would like to say that since we are now on an era wherein communicative competence is more important rather than um, the strict policy on English speaking or English only speaking policy, we should remove that from our classes, and we should ask our students to just state what they like to say, express themselves in whatever language that they want to. And then, coming from Dr. David, of course, the use of technology, because when typhoons hit Isabela, especially here in our area, we don't have internet, we don't have electricity for how many months. So, in that context, inclusivity means utilizing low bandwidth, high empathy technology And in the case of the Philippines, true inclusivity through technology means the use of asymmetric flexibility, because when we have typhoons and other calamities here, we utilize localized offline learning packets. I've actually learned this from the course. I think you've mentioned this a while back during the opening program, the trauma sensitive something for the English classrooms. And we use zero related data platforms like Basic Messenger or chats for asynchronous English debate. So technology really supports inclusion, not when it is flashing the newest AI tools, but when it is designed to creatively, it is designed creatively rather to reach the students sitting in a bamboo hut, just like here in the Philippines. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. And I would like to thank all our panelists for such insightful and meaningful contribution today. We explored important ideas around inclusion, AI, digital access, identity, teacher preparation, and learner empowerment. But what stands out most is that inclusive English education is not simply about teaching a language. It's about creating opportunities, affirming identities, and ensuring that every learner feels seen, valued, and capable of success. Now, thank you very much, our distinguished panelists, David Lazaro, Sue Casson, and Teresa Liustacchio. And thank you all for being part of this lovely conversation. Back to you, Dr. Shadi. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to our distinguished panelists and for you, May, for such an inspiring and insightful discussion. We now move into one of the most exciting parts of today's conference, our interactive workshop sessions. We are proud to bring together 36 engaging workshops presented by educators, researchers, and innovators from 22 different countries around the world. This incredible international presentation reflects the true spirit of this conference: collaboration, diversity, inclusion, and shared learning across borders. We encourage you to actively participate, ask questions, exchange ideas, and connect with fellow educators from around the globe. So, wherever you are joining us from, get ready to engage, reflect, collaborate, and join this rich learning experience. Let the workshops begin.
I think, Shadi, you want to mention that everybody, you can leave the lobby and then join the sessions by clicking on the word join next to each session on the homepage.
Yes, of course, please. Click on the word join session, and you may leave the lobby, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shadi.
Thank you.
share
Recording in
experiences,
progress.
and explore innovative approaches to English language teaching in today's rapidly evolving educational landscape. At QRTN, the mission has always centered on empowering educators and empowering the quality of teaching and learning through professional development, collaboration, and innovation. Together with GSU, this partnership continues to build bridges between global expertise and local educational impact, making this conference an important platform for meaningful dialogue and professional growth. Before we begin, I would like to encourage everyone to actively participate in today's session. As you listen to the presentation, please feel free to prepare your questions and share them in the chat box throughout the session. We will have a Q&A segment at the end where the speaker will address as many of your questions and comments as possible. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Ms. Kristen Da Silva, founder of Maple Leaf English Canadian Coaching. She brings extensive experience and valuable insights in the field of English language education. She supports learners worldwide in developing fluency and confidence. She has also developed curriculum for newcomer populations in Canada, including an English empowerment program for refugee women in collaboration with Syrian Canadian Foundation. Today, Ms. Kristen will be speaking with us about this topic specifically. Her session is From Silence to Speaking, Building ESL Fluency Throughout Storytelling and Trauma-Informed Practice. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Miss Kristen Da Silva. Miss Kristen.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much to the Queen Rania Teacher Academy and, of course, Georgia State University for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Kristen De Silva, and I am an educator, ESL specialist, and founder of Maple Leaf English Canadian Coaching based here in Toronto, Ontario. My background, firstly, is in theater in education, TESOL, and public speaking. And for over 16 years, I've worked with English language learners across different countries, different age groups, and learning contexts as well. So much of my work focuses on adult ESL learners, especially newcomers to Canada, and helping them prepare for high pressure English examinations such as IELTS and CELPIP. Over the years, I began noticing a common pattern among my learners and even students who had very strong grammar knowledge and a large vocabulary. They often struggled to communicate naturally and confidently in real world situations. Many of them became heavily dependent on memorization and scripted responses and sort of a fear of making mistakes. So this led me to explore a different approach, one that was rooted in storytelling, one that was rooted in strategy and meaningful interaction, and also creating that emotionally safe learning environment. So today I will be sharing how storytelling and strategy based instruction can help learners move from memorization to genuine communication while building the confidence and fluency needed for both real life English as well as English examination contexts. So I will begin sharing my screen with you. All right, so here we are, and we are just about to begin. Can you see my screen, everyone? Can I just get a quick thumbs up if you are able to see my screen? Thank you so much. All righty, welcome. Thank you so much. So, from silence to speaking. And this essentially has come from my work with Syrian refugee women who live in Canada. And of course, most of them come in very shy, not able to have the confidence to speak. And so I've created a safe space for them through storytelling, through trauma informed practice to actually develop their confidence. So let us begin. So by the end of this session, you will be able to walk away with just a few things, and some of them are how to apply these storytelling techniques to students that you may have that are going through similar issues in terms of confidence in English, which is very common. You will also learn how to use simple structures, guide your learners through structured speaking frameworks that reduce anxiety and encourage that natural flow of speaking. How to create safe environments that I know most of you already probably do, but really talking about the importance of that um, culture within the classroom where learners are feeling emotionally ready to speak. And of course, design some engaging activities as well. All right. So the reality is that most ESL students understand everything, or most, and they have somewhat good grammar. But when it is time to speak, they freeze. If this is something that you have noticed with your students, can I see you maybe just put in the chat a number one if you work with ESL students and they understand what you're saying, they they understand some grammar frameworks, but when it becomes time to speak in the classroom, they freeze. They become very shy. So I'm seeing lots of ones in the chat. So definitely this is very common. So as we can see here, they freeze. Why? A couple of reasons. One, hesitation. Learners pause. They restart as they begin. Their mind trails off. Even when they know what to say, their train of thought is gone. They go blank, essentially. They go ahead with overthinking. And I'm seeing Suha in the chat saying fear of making mistakes. Absolutely, yes. The pressure of producing perfect sentences in front of a group of people in real time creates that mental bottleneck for them. And of course, this leads to silence. When the anxiety becomes too great, learners simply opt out of speaking altogether. This happens, for example, in one class, but going forward, they may lack the confidence to join another class that may be happening the following week. So it's really important that we create that safe space for them to speak. And I know that you've already um, put in the chat yes and number one, so we're able to move on here. So speaking challenges are often emotional. So as teachers, we are usually generally empathetic towards our learners, okay? And it's not just about linguistic, okay? People are coming into your classroom with from many different backgrounds and life experiences, many of which we do not know about. So it's so important that as we as educators, we bear that in mind. So what we see in the classroom would be a learner who hesitates, a learner who may stay quiet or gives one-word answers here and there. And necessarily, they're not really struggling with English, but they may be navigating something that is deeper. Okay, a fear of judgment, a painful past experience, maybe in another English learning context, and they simply lack that safe space to take risks. Again, we don't know what they're coming in, what their thought, what their mind has been through. And as someone who's worked with Syrian refugees, um, it's really important that we remember this, that English is it's very emotional for them. So the real barriers to speaking, as someone mentioned, is the fear of making mistakes. Being corrected publicly feels humiliating. Even if we can relate to this from going back to maybe your childhood days in the traditional classroom, when maybe a teacher calls on you and you're not confident in that subject area to speak. Um, and maybe he or she says something to you, and it sort of makes you feel embarrassed or humiliated. Um, I've personally been in that situation growing up. And so it is not a good feeling. And I definitely, as a teacher, my my role is to not make anyone feel that way. Okay. Having low self-confidence, having learners underestimate their own abilities, right? And negative prior experiences, something that we mentioned before, classrooms that penalized errors, right? Again, coming from different backgrounds. I live in Toronto, Canada right now, but I grew up and was born in Trinidad and Tobago, where sort of corporal punishment was there. So if you made errors, you were afraid to even say anything after that, right? So errors were penalized. And of course, that gives you that non-safe speaking environment where there's pressure, it pressures silence within learners before they start. Yes, putting ourselves in their shoes. I'm seeing so much empathy in the chat. Thank you so much. I love this. Okay. So here we go. Contents and experience. So grounded in my real work with newcomers to Canada as well as refugees. The approach is shaped by direct experience with working, as mentioned, with Syrian newcomer women, some of which were refugees, some of which were not. And I've worked with the Syrian Canadian Foundation here, learners with diverse language levels, rich life histories, and real barriers to speaking. So, across that work, three consistent truths emerged. Number one, confidence outweighs language abilities. Language carries an invisible weight that we do not see. We, as some English teachers, may say, okay, well, we're just coming in to learn English, but they are carrying a very heavy weight. There's fear of uncertainty, past trauma that does not just stay at the door, right? But effective teaching, we as teachers and educators, effective teaching acknowledges the whole person, the full student, and not just the language learner. Emotional safety enables speech. As an immigrant myself, I understand how entering a new environment reshapes your sense of identity and voice. So speaking requires feeling safe and not just knowing the words. I myself, my first language is English, and moving to Canada from Trinidad and Tobago, be as an immigrant myself, someone who speaks the language of the country that I've moved to, I felt the pressure of moving here and speaking, even though my first language was English. So, someone whose first language is not English, I can imagine how much heavier that pressure is for them. And so, within Maple Leaf English, this is the safe space that I've created for them to learn their voice, to know that it's okay to make mistakes because we all did, even myself, right? As a native English speaker. Okay, so, what we have to do is have that shift in focus from controlled practice to real communication, right? When we think to controlled practice, we go back to some of us, go back to our childhood days. of primary and secondary school with teachers who are um, teaching with those traditional rules. So we have three columns here. We have moving away from, moving toward, and what supports this shift. So we want to move away from memorization. Okay, even if you're working with children or adults, memorization is a thing of the past. We need to move toward meaningful communication. And how do we do that? By assisting them with structured speaking support. Okay, so yeah, some people may say, well, you're spoon feeding them, you're giving them too much. However, when you're dealing with people who's, it's such a delicate situation where people's first language is not English and they're submerged in an English speaking country, we need to scaffold them in helping them as much as we can to build meaningful communication. And we do that by giving them those structured speaking supports. Now, we also want to move away from controlled drills, okay? And we want to encourage open-ended speaking. That means that we don't give them a structured beginning and end. You need to start here, and this is how you finish. We want to let them speak as they may. Okay. If this is something you agree with, I'd love to see you put a yes in the chat or maybe a thumbs up, um, so that I could see that we're on the same page in terms of this. I'm seeing some thumbs up, I'm seeing some yeses. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So, control drills is something personally that I've had in my life growing up. And, I could even say that I've had some um post-traumatic stress from that. And so, as mentioned before, I want my students to feel comfortable learning from me and really help them to speak as much as they would like and be as comfortable. And even sometimes when they're speaking and maybe they've made an error with their punctuation, it's not my way to stop and say, oh, you've pronounced that incorrectly. It's actually this way. Because that's just going to stop them in their tracks. They're going to retract and not feel as confident to speak again. So being able to really speak on, having them speak on is important. And we can help support this by providing them with real life communication tasks, right? As an ESL teacher, we can do that by putting them in a situation, a role playing situation where I'm the doctor and they're the patient, and we are having a conversation, and just see how that goes. Having a background in drama and theater education, I really believe in in having this sort of role playing situation. All right, accuracy first speaking. Again, correcting them every 2 seconds or just highlighting their errors, especially in a group setting, can be very terrifying for many ESL students. So instead of accuracy first speaking, we want to have expression first speaking interactions. All right. So having it more natural. I'm the doctor, you're the patient. How may I help you today? What are you feeling? And they could come in and just have them begin speaking naturally, and just develop their own voice, knowing firstly that they are being heard, right? That they're being encouraged and they're being supported. And how can we support them? Is by building that learner focused environment. Can I see a thumbs up for learner focused environments? I just believe going forward in our education field, having our learners at the core is very, very important. Just moving away from the teacher led sort of lesson where we just tell them what to do and then they go ahead and do it, and we expect um, the best from them. We really need to support them. So, this transformation, this shift in the way we think, transforms speaking from a sort of a performance into communication. Right. But why storytelling? I've mentioned storytelling quite a few times, but why is storytelling important for us? First of all, storytelling is the first most natural way, even before brick and mortar schools, there was always storytelling. This is the natural way that humans communicate. Okay. As mentioned, long before these textbooks existed, humans passed down knowledge, culture, and meaning through story. So by tapping into storytelling, we're tapping in to our and your students' natural instinct, giving them a familiar human framework for organizing and expressing their thoughts in a new language. Right. So asking them things that they may have gone through, and they could choose to share what they what they would like to share and not, but really giving them that natural uh, pod to communicate with is important. Organizing their ideas. So of course, you as the teacher, you can model first of all how this is going to be done. Okay, their narrative structure gives learners a clear beginning, middle, and end. So we know that when they're beginning to speak, we're giving them that structure of you can begin. And, you know, first of all, let them express themselves clearly. And then afterwards, we can just gently let them know when we're speaking, especially for IELTS and CELPIP preparation, for people who are looking for permanent residence. In Canada, it's important that they learn how to organize their ideas, all right? And knowing that there's a beginning, middle, and end, that reduces that cognitive load for them. So they're able to put in their minds, or even if they write it down on paper for tests, where we can begin, where we can go, and how we can end. So they know they have all of these ideas, but how are we going to get it out? We help them scaffold by putting a beginning, middle, and end for them. Speaking with structure. So from the organization of the ideas, we now help them with the structure of it, right? We mentioned story frameworks as scaffolding, so they know what to say next, okay? And by saying this, we don't want to sound um, too template like, okay? We don't want to sound too template like, because personal stories invite authentic expression. So learners can talk about real life and not just textbook scenarios. And I know that AI, ChatGPT can help with these stories and how to put them together, but we really want them to practice this out loud so that it does not sound rehearsed, but it builds that natural, genuine engagement, all right, so that they can thrive in this space where they live, where everyone is speaking English. And of course, using natural language. Okay. When learners are focused on meaning rather than the form, language emerges. So even though we've given them that little story structure of the beginning, middle, and end, we need to practice with them aloud in our classes. Okay, giving them a safe space so they're able to speak fluently and more naturally. And that, of course, comes with practice. Someone says here that the teacher should be a good actor as well. Absolutely. And this is what it's based on, right? For me, it's drama and bringing that natural space. Um, bringing those theatrical approaches is so important. Okay, so thank you for that comment. So we're going to go here with a layered learner-centered teacher framework. So we're going to go through this a little bit quickly as I know time is coming up. If I can also get a quick time check, that would be pretty helpful. So it's not a single method, it's an integrated approach that draws on multiple evidence-based practices that I've come across that we've put together to create a classroom where the learners feel safe. All right. So narrative frameworks that gives structure and meaning to speaking. So we spoke about that beginning, middle, and end. But now that drama-based techniques really introducing that role play in your classroom, even if it's something that you as a teacher may not be 100% comfortable with, it is something that I really implore you to put into your classes, and putting yourself out there. And even if you make a mistake, that's all about being human. And it's good to show them this as well. So role play and performance activities that lower that inhibition and build that expressive range, and just having the classroom a comfortable space for making mistakes and for sort of looking back and smiling at yourself and saying, oh, that's what I did, but that's okay. All right. Using these frameworks can reduce anxiety and support independent production. Okay. Trauma-informed practice is a term that we've been hearing more recently. So this classroom culture, it prioritizes that emotional safety, choice, and dignity above all. So every week when you meet with your ESL learners, you want them excited to come into class because they know that this is a safe space where my teacher sometimes makes mistakes and she smiles about it and makes a joke, and it's okay, as well as my other classmates. And it's a safe space where we can learn. And this is the best way to learn, okay, in this very safe space. I'm seeing lots of questions coming in, but I'm quickly going to go through here. Um, so when learners know where they're going in a response, they can focus on communicating rather than constructing a
Sorry,
response.
sorry, Miss
No
Crystal.
problem.
It is a gentle reminder that you have 5 minutes to end the session. So
Okay.
you will have 2 to 3 minutes, and I will end after that. Thank you.
Okay, is there a chance that I can answer a couple of questions?
Yes, we can take these minutes to answer the questions. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this point because we've gone through the bulk of it. And so I would love to answer some questions. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to just quickly look in the chat here, and I did see a couple of questions coming in. So someone has asked here, Huda, it says, is reading aloud helpful for speaking in English? And I would say absolutely yes. It is very helpful. And this is something in my ESL classes that I have my students do every class. So sometimes we have passages that we need to dissect and sort of do a comprehension on it based on IELTS and CELPIP preparation. And instead of me taking that time to uh, to read the entire passage, I will give my students each one paragraph to read. And again, it's a safe space for them to make mistakes. And sometimes afterward, I will give it one full read through so that they are also able to hear the fluency of it and maybe some of those words where they can pronounce as well. So yes, that for that question. Okay, so I'm just gonna look here. How to build vulnerability-based trust with my students. So of course, first of all, having them show up to your class and creating a safe space where you allow them to be themselves. First of all, lay the rules down, say, hey, this is a safe space for all of us. And making sure if you're doing this in an online platform, that all cameras are on so that we're able to see each other and to know making eye contact with your learners is very important. And so by sharing your own story of your journey of life, what you've been through, okay, because we all have our stories. If they see that you are vulnerable, then they feel safe to be vulnerable as well. So it's important that you're comfortable to share parts of your story with them. Okay, because in my sessions, I'm also an immigrant and they are immigrants. So we share that. And if we're able to come to that common ground, we realize that it's not that I'm above you and you are below me, but that we are all human together and that we can learn from each other as well. So that is how you can build some vulnerability trust with your students, knowing that you are human as well. You are not above them. You are here to help them on their journey. So I hope that was an answer for your question.
Thank you, Miss Kristen. Thank you. يعني your questions, colleague, are very important, but unfortunately, we comes to the end of this session. Allow me to thank you, Miss Kristen, for such insightful and engaging session. Your perspectives on building ESL fluency through storytelling and other important pedagogies you mentioned are very important and gives us very much to reflect on as we continue working toward more inclusive and effective English language teaching practices. Also, I would like to thank our audience for your active participation and engagement throughout the session. We hope today's discussion inspires your ideas, meaningful conversations, and continued collaboration among educators and professionals in our field. Thank you, everyone.
Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please allow me, Lanud Zaban, to welcome you to the 4th Annual English Language Conference 2026, jointly organized by the Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University. This year's conference theme, Inclusive English Teaching in a Changing World, reflects our shared commitment to creating learning environments where every student feels seen, valued, and empowered to succeed. Over the course of this conference, educators, researchers, and practitioners from around the world are coming together to exchange ideas, share experiences, and explore innovative approaches to English language teaching in today's rapidly evolving educational landscape. At QRTA, the mission has always centered on empowering educators and improving the quality of teaching and learning through professional development, collaboration, and innovation. Together with GSU, this partnership continues to build bridges between global expertise and local educational impact, making this conference an important platform for meaningful dialogue and professional growth. Before we begin, I would like to encourage everyone to actively participate in today's session. As you listen to the presentation, please feel free to prepare your questions and share them in the chat box throughout the session. We will have a question and answer segment at the end, where the speaker will address as many of your questions and comments as possible. It is now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Marcella Donowski, an English educator. Please make sure that your mics are muted, please. Thank you so much. An English educator, teacher trainer, and international conference presenter with over 20 years of experience in the field of education. She specializes in designing thinking-rich learning experiences and inclusive classroom practices, and is currently pursuing a master's degree in neuropedagogy. Her work reflects a strong commitment to creating engaging and supporting learning environments that responds to diverse needs of learners. Today, Marcella will be speaking with us about practical tools for inclusion, supporting neurodiverting learnings. Please join me in giving warm welcome to Marcella. Thank you, Marcella, and you may start.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure to be here with all of you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are. I'm located in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So in here, it's almost now approaching noon. So thank you so much for joining us. And today we're going to be addressing quite an important issue: how we can support neurodivergent learners, right? And it's all about sharing practical tools, right? So that we can work on real inclusion in our classroom. So we got plenty of things to talk, to share. So please feel free to just share your ideas through the chat box, okay? And it's super important that you mute yourselves, all right? So that we can just fully listen to one another. Objectives. What are we going to be covering somehow with today's session? I wanted to understand, first of all, why it's so important to address neurodiversity inside the classroom. And notice I'm starting with this concept of neurodiversity so that later on I can take you to neurodivergency. We'll definitely explore practical strategies. I want you to get out of the session tools that you can easily start applying in your lessons, regardless of the level, the subject you teach, right? The age, doesn't matter. And I would also want you to reflect on what other steps, what further steps you can actually take inside your context, right? Within your context as to support neurodivergent learners. So as you can see, plenty of things to work on, but I want to start from what you already know. So again, feel free to share your thoughts. What about all of those numbers? What do these numbers represent? Obviously, it has to do with neurodivergency, with neurodivergent students, inclusion. So, what about those numbers? Please share through the chat box. Take a guess. 15, 20%, 1 in 5, 80%, 0. What about those numbers? What is it that they might be representing? Okay, I already see some answers in here. 1 in 5. Well, but what do you think? Oh my gosh. Let's take a guess. What could it be? Think about students, think about teachers, think about your own context, no? How is it that these numbers can represent something, no, that might be responsible for us being here? 1 in 5 are neurodivergent. Could be. Now I'm going to give you the answer. 60% understand the lesson. Okay, that's good. Super positive. Progress. We can title progress. Why not? Yes, could be. Excited. Okay, you're excited. I love that. I love that energy. Zero are concentrating on the lesson. It happens, right? It does happen. I know, I know. But let me tell you, because all of these numbers represent something key for us being here. In between 15 to 20% of our population, what population? Those are neurodivergent citizens, according to Harvard Health Publishing. 1 in 5 of our students go through learning and attention differences within our classroom. 70% of the neurodivergent learners experience misunderstanding or, and this concerns us all, lack of appropriate support in schools. We got to do something about this. Look at those numbers. 80%, this is us, teachers, we feel that we're not prepared so as to support neurodivergent learners. And zero, at least, this is what happens here in Buenos Aires, Argentina. We get no formal training regarding our teaching training colleges, right? We're starting to get to be teachers and we don't get any sort of support when it comes to training ourselves to confront the situation inside our classrooms. How do we deal with neurodiversity and therefore with neurodivergent students? How is that possible? We just learn what to do through our experience, through sharing, through this amazing moments and spaces in which we build up our knowledge as a community, thanks to these spaces, right? So we got to do something about this, right? But if I don't get to convince you with these numbers, look at these others. 10% of the population is dyslexic. 2 out of 5 children have ADHD. Dyscalculic students, developmental language disorders, well, all of these numbers show us that we are currently living in a neurodivergent world. So we got to seriously address this issue in our classrooms. And by the way, notice that I began my presentation by addressing this idea of we live in a different world, in a neurodiversity. No, we talk about neurodiversity in the sense of we're humans. We're all different. We have different ways in which we process information. We have different likes. We have different strengths. So it's acknowledging that we're all different just because of the feature of being human. But today, we're going to narrow that variety within our brain function community into the ones that are neurodivergent students, meaning to say, students who have a formal diagnosis, students who fit into the category of being students with dyslexia, with ADHD, with autism, with any sort of neurological differences, right? And notice that they don't need to be fixed. Careful. We are the ones who need to adapt ourselves, adapt our teaching strategies to support them, to help them discover their strengths, to help them overcome difficulties, right? So it is really important to notice that difference, right? We are dealing in this session specifically on getting techniques and strategies for neurodivergent students because I am pretty sure that you as a doctor, are you going to wait for that patient to have a heart attack? No. Obviously, if you notice that there's someone with some difficulties with heart problems, well, you give them medicine, you do something. Well, the same happens with us as educators. Why waiting until you see that your student is failing at school? It's our responsibility to do something about it, right? So, what are we going to do? We got to address neurodiversity and we have to help and provide support to neurodivergent students. right? Regardless of being neurodivergent, neurodiversity is something that calls us all, that invites us, right? We have to think of the different learning needs, styles, paces, regardless of having a formal diagnosis or not. At least in my country, sometimes they don't even get to that formal diagnosis. So we have to extend them support, flexibility to all learners in our classrooms, right? So that they can feel motivated, engaged, included. So it requires us as educators changing our mindset, by the way. Think of what usually happens. If I ask you, I'm pretty sure that if I happen to ask you right now, what does it come to your mind when we think of neurodivergency? Those students, the problematic one, the one that does not follow my class, the one that is always interrupting, the one that cannot remain seated, who is constantly walking around. Well, so it's difficult, disruptive. Oh, the one that it's not capable. Oh. I need you to change that mindset. I need you to move into a more positive one, right? And I'm pretty sure that this usually happens because we don't know how to address this beautiful challenge that we have, right? It's a unique possibility of providing some support to those students because they all have potential, right? And they just need us to make certain adjustments in our classes, because being different doesn't mean that we are less, right? We are all different. Thinking of neurodiversity, thinking of that big concept, that broad concept of we are all different. And notice that this is not a privilege, it's a right. So if you are not convinced by what I'm telling you, think about the fact that all of these, all of these aspects are addressed by international documents. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, articles like, for example, 28, 29, 30, right? We are addressing this right to an education that respects identity, ability. We also have the Salamanca Statement and Framework for Action. Even the UN with the 17 Sustainable Goals, goal number 4, quality education, right? Even in my country, we do also have in Argentina other regulations, and according to the provinces, the states, we do address discrimination, right? Inclusivity. So think about these. It's not a privilege. We're not doing it just because we're cool teachers. It's because it's a right for them, for every single child to be respected, right? So the juicy part, what can we do? I'm pretty sure that you are here because you need tools. You need to get ideas, concrete ideas of what you can do inside your classrooms, right? So that's why we are here. So let's start with something very simple, as how we present material, how we present written text, something so simple but still very impactful, right? We have to always provide that written text with plenty of anticipation to our students. I'm pretty sure that this time you already know this, but just in case, we're not going to take anything for granted, right? But then, what else can we do? Apart from anticipating the text, even before you dive into that, reading task, for instance, keep on working with the titles. Work with the images, start making predictions. In that way, you activate the learner's prior knowledge. And this is essential for neurodivergent students. It reduces anxiety. It provides them with a context to support comprehension later on. What about fonts? All of these fonts are neurologically tested, right? All of these fonts are what we call clear letter shapes because they don't have that circular ended shape, right? It's easier to decode for them if you present a text written with any of these fonts, right? And the same happens with the size. Again, this has been tested and it's what it's generally suggested for primary or elementary school. You should use in between 16 to 20, the size. And then for secondary, in between 12 to 14. Now, what happens is that you've got to try it yourselves, and you've got to test it with your own student. Yes, try to see what works the best for them. Most of the written material nowadays are presented in Arial and more or less in 14. So that's something that you've got to keep on testing, because it might be that your students get the same diagnosis, but still the levels might be different. They might differ. So every single child is different, right? So what else can we do when it comes to written text? Align the text to the left. I know if you're obsessed like me, very structured, I need to justify everything. No, that does not help at all for the tracking of information to those students. It helps them process information differently if you are aligned the text to the left. Not everything is a block, right? Careful with underlining, because that line can also interfere in between the letter, the shape, and understanding the code and information. Just simply bold the text that is important, right? The key ideas, key concepts. Space lining, 1.5, because it gives some breath to our eyes in between one word and the other, right? Images. I know we believe, well, if I place image in here, another image in here, they will understand the text. It accompanies the text, but sometimes it's kind of visual contamination. Too much visual information distracts them, overwhelms them. So carefully select the image that might truly help them with no background. It has to be clear in that sense, not excessive colors, right? And if you place images, place them either on the at the beginning or at the bottom and on the right. Yes, text to the left and on the right, images. Okay, the same with the type of paper. My humble recommendation, if you're going to print something and you've got to use the typical white paper, make sure that it's not transparent, especially if you're printing both sides. But if not, there's nowadays a type of recycled paper that's useful as well for these type of students, because that pale or pastel tone helps them as well, especially with the ones with visual difficulties. Okay. Then let me show you this example. This was me. I've got to be completely honest. This is me just getting a reading comprehension ready for my students in year 3 elementary school. I thought that I was helping them. This was many, many years ago. And look at this task. Everything underlined, a super, super long text, too wordy, unnecessary. So you see, sometimes we just do it unconsciously because we believe that we are helping them and we are not, right? So careful with our choices and the way we present information. Then what else can we do? We have to be careful at the same time in the way we communicate with those students. Active listening, not just simply listening constantly to the ones who are always putting up their hand. Give them space, room to be heard, right? And sometimes those students, neurodivergent students, may not feel reluctant to sharing openly how they're feeling. So body language, the expressions, their way of looking at you, that might tells a lot,
No matter what.
Oh, there's something
No matter what.
going on in here.
You got to strut.
Sorry.
I'm feeling fab.
There's,
I feel exceptional. It's okay. It's okay.
there was something going on, right?
It's okay. It's okay. You can share again.
Oh, okay, that was weird. All
It's
right.
okay. It's okay. It's okay.
It's all right. Yes, there was something going on. Bueno, so we were saying, think about the active listening. Think about the posture, the eye contact. And you got to, as well, be careful with the way you address them. Clear, direct language. Avoid sarcasm. Avoid idioms, right? Because that can turn into something that might be misinterpreted. So literal language, too complex structures like passive voice, idioms, no, careful, all right? Always choose familiar words for them, synonyms, right? Use onomatopoeias as well, short, positive language, and language that is logically ordered, structured. Help them as well visualize what is expected for them to to do, help them go back to a memory. I remember when we did this in class. That helps them lower down expectations, okay? And positive language, super, super important as well. All right, we were talking about allowing our students to be heard, to have a word. This is perfect. Stations, centers, allowed them to work at their own pace. No, they choose what type of activities they want to work on, right? And progressively they keep a record of that. Yes, and in that way they don't feel frustrated from the very beginning. This is such a difficult activity. No, gradually they will feel that they can achieve it and they go for more and more and more, because you've got to present activities that are gradually challenging. So basically they will be the ones selecting, and they will all be working on the same content, but just with that sense that I am the one who is choosing. I've got that choice, that autonomy, and it builds some confidence to our students, right? These are all real pictures from centers, corners, and bear in mind that I apply centers with all students from primary level to even tertiary level, okay? And talking about a choice and this idea of giving them voice, tic-tac-toes, activities in which in the center you place the activity that is a must, it's compulsory, and then they got to freely select 3 other choices, activities, and you cut it to all tastes and needs. So that is beautiful. A collage, a video, an interview, etc. Then what else? Think about the senses. These students need to go through language, in case they are learning a language, or knowledge, whatever subject you are teaching, through the body. So visual students. What about thinking routines? I know thinking routines, that critical thinking, that's way too much, asking for them. No way. It helps them organize their thinking, to visualize, to make connections, observations, questions. So thinking routines for visual learners does wonders. A tip, top tip, hexagonal thinking. Have you ever tried it? Well, an hexagon could be empty, could already contain certain key concepts. They got to join it and they create their own mind maps that way, and they are moving it. So kinesthetic learners, this is beautiful. And talking about kinesthetic learners, they need to move. So allow them to be the ones deciding on how to display their furniture, their classroom, right? Make use of every single space, not only the classroom, but a corridor, right? And not necessarily everybody sitting in front of the blackboard. No. Sometimes we need to work collaboratively. We also need some space to work individually, but they got to be the ones deciding on how to make use of their space. So that's why what I do in order to take those decisions with them, I apply design thinking. So if you are interested later on, you drop me a line and I can tell you all about design thinking. What else can we do? Don't forget to break tasks into smaller parts. Give them extra time. It's generally suggested 25% of extra time for any ordinary activity as well as for assessment. Personalized feedback. Don't wait till the end. Okay, this is the result. This is your number. They need constant, ongoing feedback. And if you can build on that feedback together with them, much better. And give them time to respond, give them flexibility. Not everything has to be answered, in a question and typical answer, but maybe they can record it. Maybe instead of writing something, it could be a drawing, it could be creating a meme, it could be recording themselves. Provide them with a variety of ways to respond to a task, right? And sometimes we have to learn to wait, because we just ask students something and we expect them, okay, the answer. They need to decode, process, understand, think of alternatives, and think of how they're going to organize that information. It takes time. Allow them maybe to share with a peer and then to share that. And AI can help us a lot for differentiation. Sometimes we believe that, it's our enemy, but it could be an ally. So there are lots of apps like Twee, like for example, DFID, Educa Lab, well, lots of AI resources that you can use in order to economize your time, to create a variety of tasks, right? Later on, if you ask me for the presentation, you have all of these apps linked to this. If you want to record a text into an audio, if you want them to record themselves, for example, TTS Maker is amazing. I truly suggest you. And it is for free. Obviously, that there are premium settings, but they are for free. Rubrics, we were talking about feedback. Rubrics, create the rubrics with them. Look at all of those AI apps that can help you build up a rubric together with them. All right? So, important things: anticipate, lower down expectations, have a clear schedule of what they are going to have for each day. Allow them to have featured toys, sensory breaks like brain breaks, the mental wealth boxes in which you have a puppet or a toy to hug, a story to help them deal or address some emotional issues, a featured toy, a mandala to color. Well, regularly you can change those activities, but when they notice that they cannot control themselves, they know that they can always resource to that mental wealth box that it's inside your classroom. All right. Brain gym, you Google and you have a variety of different tasks that will not take you longer than 5 minutes. And this is great when they're just getting started, no, getting from a break, when you need that transition from one cognitive task into a different one, and you need them to be ready to confront that new challenge. Brain gym, you see something as simple as that. Reading the color, not the word, what it's written. So you see that it exercises our brain. Positive reinforcement. Careful with the type of words or reinforcements that we have in our lessons. Sometimes we give certificates for the one who reads beautifully. That is not inclusive reinforcement, let's say. No, what happens with the dyslexic students? They will never get a certificate. So rethink on the way you are reinforcing certain attitudes or behaviors or expectations in your classroom. Allow them to have a moment of relaxation. If they are completing a task, play, for instance, binaural beats. Google it. It's beautiful. Again, to deal with stress levels, to reduce anxiety, to focus. Binaural beats, right? Work with stories, with social stories. There are lots of stories and books that you can apply. Play, have fun. I mean, who says that having fun and engaging our students into games is just simply for primary or elementary education? I play with my students at the tertiary level, at university level, right? The other day in linguistics, for instance, we were playing with the twister. How is that possible? Yeah, engage them into games, into participating in debates, get them outside your classrooms. And in the same way, we have to rethink assessment, my loves. I'm afraid that traditional formal assessment just focuses on the final product, but we know that assessment is a process. So we are not going to judge them. We are not going to label the students. We need to focus on the process with, for example, e-portfolios. We can use exit tickets. These are all real e-portfolios that we start applying even from kindergarten. Yes, they can create their own portfolios. Think about design thinking as a way of showing what they've learned, and put that into practice, into something tangible to come up with solutions to the real world. Think about escape rooms. All of these are simple things that they can easily apply and do in their classes, right? And you just guide them. And metacognition, make sure that at the end of your classes, at the end of an activity, at the end of the week, of a unit, a project, you help them reflect on what they have learned, on the challenges, on what they still don't understand. Help them set new goals, and do not forget to include feelings. This could be an amazing opportunity for those students who do not share openly how they're doing. No, we were talking about active listening. This is also active listening. So, in order to ramp up, we have to embrace flexibility, creativity, focus on the process, not the results, allow them with voice and choice. I know it's a huge responsibility for us that shouldn't be mainly our responsibility. It should start from the teaching training programs. I know, from having a flexible curriculum. But well, we can make the difference. So let's get started within our classes by making just tiny adjustments. Don't expect to apply from one day to the other all of these things. You've got to try, experiment progressively and see what works for your students. And remember that inclusive education should never threaten you, discourage you, or trigger you. On the contrary, you've got to feel inspired and engaged, and it has to enrich you because, in the same way that you're helping them, they're also helping you. You're getting a new perspective of life. Okay, you are also learning in here. If you want to get this presentation, if you want to get more information, or just simply having this conversation going, feel free to drop me a line, to contact me through the social media, to send me an email. I mean, I will be more than thrilled to help you because this is again all about building a community. So thank, and I believe that now we might have some room for questions. I couldn't follow the
It's
chat;
okay.
it was happening all
It's
that
okay. We will open
quick.
the door for the questions. Thank you, Marcella. Thank you so much for your insightful and engaging session. You're emphasized on how inclusive education thrives when teachers provide flexible, personalized learning experiences that support every learner's needs, has given us much to reflect on as we continue working toward more inclusive and effective English language teaching practices. Now we will move to the question and answer session. I would like to invite participants to continue posting their questions and comments in the chat box as we will address as many of them as time flows. I would like also to thank our audience for your active participation and thoughtful engagement throughout the session. We hope today's discussion inspires new ideas, meaningful conversations, and continued collaboration among educators and professional in our field. On behalf of Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University, thank you for being part of the 4th Annual English Language Conference 2026. We look forward to seeing you in the next sessions, and we wish you a productive and inspiring conference experiences. Thank you so much, and we will see if we have any questions. What is the most sustainable way to deal with students who interrupts and annoying in classes?
Oh, that's interesting because we've got to start by thinking of the reason why they are interrupting. Is it because they don't feel part of the lesson because we're dealing with something that is not interesting or appealing for them? So we've got to first to start reflecting on what is happening with that kid. What's the reason? So have you tried probably adapting the class into a topic that is something that he's interested in? For example, here in Argentina, all of the children are obsessed with the football stickers, the World Cup. So, okay, I know that he's constantly playing that and he's annoying my class with all of those stickers all around falling from the desk. Do something regarding football. I don't know. Try working with the flags, identifying the t-shirts. So, okay, so my teacher is paying attention to what I like. It's just making those tiny adjustments of making them feel heard, seen, cared for. And you'll see that they will start changing their attitude. Maybe reinforcing positive attitudes because sometimes it happens that we focus way too much on what they are not doing. They are not sitting down, paying attention. So whenever they are, I don't know, just simply writing up, just the fact of, they grabbed a pen. How fantastic! Look, Peter is ready for the class. He has his materials ready. And they will look at you like, okay, what is she saying? What is happening here? You get them shocked, surprised. And by doing those tiny things, you're changing your focus and you are also changing their perspective. Okay, she is congratulating me on just simply getting a pen. Okay, what would happen if I copy this time instead of walking around? It's like they will be challenged in a positive way. Okay, so it's changing our mindset somehow. We are focused
Thank-
way too much on the negative aspects.
Thank you, Marcella. Thank you so much for this insightful session. We hope to see you in the other sessions. Great to meet you, and thank you so much.
A pleasure. Thank you all. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Hello.
Bye, Hadi Habibti. Thank you for your support.
Recording in progress.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Ramzi.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Um, just 1 second, please.
It's okay. You have a couple of minutes before we start.
Sure. Okay. For some, I don't know, maybe technical reason, it says Zoom is unable to detect a camera, so I'm not sure what the problem is. I'm not really sure actually.
If you press on the little arrow by video, you can
Yes.
choose select a camera.
It's I have select a speaker, select a microphone. I don't
The
have
one
select.
next to it.
Okay. The next to it, it says there's a video with like a slash, and there I don't have that option.
You don't have a small arrow on the top right?
Unfortunately, I'm really sorry. I don't know what the problem is.
Let me.
I don't know. Maybe it's from my side. It was working fine. I tried it, during the technical meeting.
It could be a Zoom thing. It has worked on Zoom
It
before.
has worked before during the technical meeting, actually, but I don't know what's happening now. So, but I think. I mean, I can do it without, right? It would be fine.
I mean,
Or
of course, we prefer the full experience
of course,
if we
but
can.
unfortunately, for some reason, it's not working as even though I tried it before. But it says that
Things like that happen.
yeah, I'm really sorry. Yani, it was working fine. I tried it before this meeting, but I think yani, I will have to manage. So
It's okay. We can start like this, and I can see if someone can help
Awesome.
you out. But I don't want to take too much out of your speaking time, so I'm going to go
Exactly.
ahead and
Thank you so much.
introduce you.
Thank you. Shall I share my screen or?
Yes, but you can share as I'm going to introduce you now.
Okay, sure. Go
All
ahead.
right. Good evening, everyone. Please allow me, Juman Deiraniye, to welcome you all to the 4th Annual English Language Conference 2026, jointly organized by the Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University. This year's conference theme, Inclusive English Education in a Changing World, reflects our a shared commitment to creating learning environments where every student feels seen, valued, and empowered to succeed. Over the course of this conference, educators, researchers, and practitioners from around the world are coming together to exchange ideas, share experiences, and explore innovative approaches to English language teaching in today's rapidly evolving educational landscape. At QRTA, the mission has always been centered on empowering educators and improving the quality of teaching and learning through professional development, collaboration, and innovation. Together with GSU, this partnership continues to build bridges between global expertise and local educational impact, making this conference an important platform for meaningful dialogue and professional growth. Before we begin, I would like to encourage everyone to actively participate in today's session. As you listen to the presentation, please feel free to prepare your questions and share them in the chat box throughout the session. We will have a Q&A segment at the end where the speaker will address as many of your questions and comments as possible. It is now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Mr. Ramzi Atta, who is an English language teacher from Rawabi English Academy in Palestine. He brings extensive experience and valuable insights in the field of English language education. Today, Mr. Atta will be speaking with us about empowering learners through instructional dialogue. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Ramzi Atta. Please.
Thank you so much, Ms. Juman. I would like to welcome you all, and I'm very happy to see this large number of participants, actually, 231, which makes me very happy and excited. Thank you for the introduction. I would like to welcome you all. I'm very delighted to be here. So let's cut to the chase and delve into my topic for today. And I'm really sorry for I couldn't open my video due to a technical problem. So I'm really sorry for that in advance, but I hope you make the best out of my session for today. To start with, this workshop is inspired by something that I love to always mention because it's very important. It's the phrase or the sentence. It says, "Stop teaching the subjects and start making the learners partners in the teaching or learning process." So what does that mean? It's not only about telling or listening anymore. Partners, when I say partners, we should all be partners in the learning process. Teachers and the students should both be engaged in this process. So my workshop goals, I have four main workshop goals that you can see in front of you. I will shed light on them very fast. The first one is about, I will explain, of course, what instructional dialogue refers to. And actually, I will allow you, or I will let you derive it by yourselves before I actually give you the definition. And you will identify its key features, number one. Number two, you will observe and analyze instructional dialogue in classroom scenarios. Number three, participants will identify and classify teacher moves, which is the core of my workshop for today. And I will be referring to six main teacher moves for today. And the last one, you will be applying practical strategies, maybe on some of the moves, or mainly on some of the moves due to the limitations of time. And it's how to support and improve dialogue during teaching practice. So my agenda for today will include the following. Of course, we will start with a short icebreaker. Followed by an activity. We will derive together the definition of instructional dialogue. We will mention or we will refer to the first three moves, also followed by an activity, and then go on to the other three moves. And then the last thing, I will refer to something very important, which is called the fishbowl strategy. And then we will, of course, come towards the end of our session. So to start, what I had in mind is that I didn't honestly expect this number of amazing participants. So, of course, the original plan was for you to say your name and one fact about yourselves, and then the person chooses another person. So I don't think that would be possible with 300 participants. So what will I do? I would love, let's do it, take it about another way. I would love for you to participate by saying your name, where you're from, and one fact about you. The fact can be anything you would like to share with us, and I will read a couple as I move forward. So, your name, your country, and one fact about you. Okay? And I will be reading as I move forward. Um, I would be very delighted if you could share, or if you want to share. I mean, I would love to read some because of my limitations of time. Okay, Wajiha, Saudi Arabia, aspiring leader in education. Thank you, Wajiha. Yafa from Jordan. Okay, I'm a teacher. Mundar, welcome. I'm trying to lose weight. Okay, I gained when I quit smoking cigarettes. Good for you. Dalal from Palestine. I have a phobia of cats. Okay, good to know. I'll read just a couple. Aya from Jordan, welcome. Teacher in the making, good luck in your career. Let me go with Ali from Kuwait. I play video games. I'll read just two or three more, just due to the limitations of time. Of course, I really cherish that you are all with me. Okay, Hala Majari from Beirut, Lebanon. I'm a cat person because we have lots of cat lovers, which is interesting. Okay, I will go to. Okay, Rula from Jordan. I'm a teacher. Amani, I love my job as a kindergarten teacher so much. Interesting. I'll just read two more. I'm just trying to choose other countries that I haven't mentioned. Okay, I am Lubna from Algeria. I'm trying to learn more about didactics. Okay, interesting. And the last one, I will go to. Okay, I'm a PhD student from Iraq. Okay, welcome all of you. It's a very diverse group from like a very from various countries. So I'm very happy to see you all. Okay, so having said that, I will go on. I want you to please focus because we will start. So now we have in 2 minutes, 10 minutes have passed. So I have to mind the time very carefully. Okay, what do I want you to do? We have a dialogue between Mrs. A and student one, and then I have Mrs. B, which is a dialogue between a teacher and several students. So what do I want you to do? Don't read both together. I want you to please take 20 seconds to read the dialogue of Mrs. A. Don't look at Mrs. B. I'll give you 20 seconds to do that, please. Just read Mrs. A, like between you and yourselves, very fast. So it's a dialogue between a teacher and a student, and some students actually. Student 1, student 2, student 3. Okay. So now that you have read Mrs. A, I want you to please go to Mrs. B and read the dialogue between teacher and between another teacher and her or his students. Also, I'll give you like 20, let's say 25 seconds for this, since we have more writing. And please focus on the type of dialogue here. Okay, I'll give you 10 more. Okay. Would anybody, you can intervene. I don't mind. I would love just to make this, not only based on chat. I would love anybody, if you want to participate, if you look at the two conversations or dialogues, what can you say about Mrs. A? The dialogue between the first teacher and the three students. Can anybody share? Elian, you can go ahead, please. Elian, can you speak or? Ms. Juman, do I have to open the mic or they can do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure they can unmute themselves. You might, or I might need to do it.
Okay. I said ask to unmute. Okay, I think now.
Hello, I guess now it's working, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Elian, can you
Um,
tell me what you noticed in Mrs. A, the conversation between the teacher and the
yeah,
students in Mrs. A?
of course. First of all, she didn't encourage students to critical thinking about
Excellent.
questions she was asking. When a student couldn't answer, she just gave the answer right away.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank
So
you,
she
Elian.
didn't give them a chance to
Awesome.
think
Awesome.
about it.
So you
Thank you.
are saying, Elian, that the teacher led the students quickly to the correct answer without them having to think about what adjectives are. Correct? Elian, can you hear me? Okay, it's okay. Maybe some. Okay, I got you. Okay. Samar, Samar Abu Naja, you can open your mic.
Yes,
Samar,
hello.
can you tell me can you tell me about Mrs. B, the second conversation? How is it
Yeah,
different from the first?
while Mrs. A is teacher-centered class, Mrs. B is a student-centered class where she
Excellent.
elicits answer from the students, encourage them
Excellent.
to learn about adjectives through context, discussions, so the student can give the rule and their own definition of adjectives. She elicits the
Excellent.
information from them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So as we said, I'll just take one more. We have Al Qaisar Yakhlud. It said, I'll open your mic. Oh, Al Qaimar, Al Qaimar Yakhlud Al Qaimar. I'm sorry. Do you want to? Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Do you
evening.
hear
Can
me?
you, sorry to interrupt. So one of you said what you noticed in
My
Mrs.
name is
A, which
Khulud
is thank you
Al-Qimari.
so much. Mrs. B, can you compare the two, Al-Qimar? Can you give me a brief
Okay.
comparison after mentioning like the difference between the two?
Mrs. A, yes. Okay, the teacher gave that the students the direct way to the rule,
Excellent.
whereas the second one, she is trying to get the rule by themselves, which is more
Excellent.
effective for them.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for all participants. Thank you so much for your participation. So mainly, dear colleagues, example A, the student led the student quickly to the correct answer. It didn't involve any critical thinking whatsoever. Let Mrs. B, students learn from Yusuf's idea, if you see Yusuf, and Maria's correction and explanation. So this builds something we call collaborative thinking, and critical thinking is very vivid here. So let's say it like, to cut it short, example A is basic understanding and recall of the definition, whereas B fosters deeper conceptual understanding, reasoning, and academic dialogue skills. Thank you so much for your participation. Now, I'm gonna ask you a question. After saying or seeing this example, what is instructional dialogue? Can you please write in the chat box? What is instructional dialogue? What can you derive from the example or from the comparison we just mentioned? Can you please give me some answers in the chat, please? So, what do you think? A teacher-centered where B is student-centered? Okay, if I told you what is instructional dialogue? Guided questions. Okay. Who can tell me what it is? So if I told you what is instructional dialogue as a concept, what can you tell me? Um, in the chat box, please, if somebody can answer. Conversations, thank you, between teachers and student focused at active learning. Thank you. Collaborative dialogue. Conversation, shifting, excellent, from teacher-centered to student-centered. Giving instructions, learning by giving and receiving instructions. A dialogue that is student-centered. Absolutely, thank you so much. Equal opportunities. Guidance, thank you, lovely, amazing answers. Based on communication, real talking, conversation used for teaching. Excellent. So you got the idea. Thank you so much for your participation. Now we will move on and say we will define it. So the definition is mainly, as you can see, it's purposeful and interactive exchange of ideas, information, or questions between students and teachers, or among students themselves. If it really involves active learning between the students themselves, it encourages active participation. The aim is to promote critical thinking, collaborative understanding, facilitate learning, and deepen understanding. So now, after mentioning this and you deriving the definitions, we will talk about the first three moves, which are three main moves. The first one is ask. The second one is press. The third one is something we called revoice. Now, to go on to the first one, which is called ask. Ask is mainly, as you can see, it's mainly about beginning a discussion. For example, you want to start with a text or a reading comprehension text. You actually start with a generative question to allow students to develop their ideas and their reasoning about the content and concepts. For example, how do you define power in this text? What motivates you to learn more? So ask is mainly related to asking generative questions. Okay, so some questions that are in general, just to foster and enhance and begin a discussion. The second one is called press. So press is it's mainly as the word suggests, it's actually about clarification, evidence, and elaboration. So I want more information, I want evidence, and we are talking more about phrases or questions or sentences, like you can see in the gray area. For example, somebody says something and I ask him, say more about what you mean by this, or by what you said. Okay, so a student said a concept, for example, can you clarify what you mean by what you said? Or, for example, number three, what in the text or data makes you think of this or that, or the idea that you suggested? So it's mainly about asking for clarification, evidence, and elaboration through, of course, and not restricted to one of these three questions, or actually it extends beyond that. These are only just triggers or just basic questions. And the last one, it's about revoicing. What is revoice? Re means to do again. So it's when you state a student's claim to verify, the understanding or ideas, or to introduce to introduce or encourage academic language. For example, a student says something, you're like, I'm hearing I'm hearing you, for example, I'm hearing Sabah, for example, say that, this or that. So one of the strategies used, why are you revoicing, is to share or represent a student thinking to the class, to share his idea or her idea with the class. This is one method or one stem that's used. Another one is to check on confirm understanding with the speaker. For example, so you would say, so let me see if I understand what you said. Your claim is this and that. So if you focus, revoicing is mainly about two main things. The two main things is about either to share or represent student thinking, or to check and confirm understanding with the speaker. Okay, so now we're just going to do a very short from theory to practice. We're going to do something very, very basic just to get an idea of what I'm talking about. I want a presenter, I want partner A and partner B. Can anybody raise their hand to just do A and B, and I'll tell you what you should be doing? It's not Islam, and other than Ilyan, Islam, I'll open your mic. You may, Islam, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you, Islam. And Samar Abu Naja, I think. Okay, because these are the first two I see. Samar and Islam. Samar,
Yes.
I'll give you, please, you would be partner A and Islam partner B. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
What would you do, guys? The thing would be like this. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm sorry because, okay. So partner A, which is, we said Islam, right? Or Juman?
Samar.
Samar, I'm sorry. Samar, your partner A, you would read the stem sentence. For example, you would say, in 10 years, I see myself blank and blank because, and then you would continue the sentence. And then Islam, you would press. How would you would do two moves. One time you would say a press move. You can choose one of the two phrases you see. Say more
Yeah.
about, or can you clarify? Choose one of them. and then you would do a revoicing move. Also choose one of them to, you know, in relation to Jumana's idea. You got it?
Yes.
Okay, Juman, can you please go with the stem sentence? Just so you can say whatever you want. Yani you don't have to think a lot. Go ahead. In
It's me,
10 years,
Samar.
Samar, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. In 10 years, I see myself as a successful teacher because I'm working hard with my students and planning for doing so.
Excellent. Islam, can you do a press
Okay.
move?
Can you say more about what you mean by saying a perfect teacher?
Excellent. And
Yeah,
then go with the...
by learning different strategies, how to help my students in learning and acquiring knowledge.
Excellent. Can you do the revoice move, please?
So you're saying that you are going to improve yourself. I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact sentence, so
It's
I'm
okay.
just gonna
It's
go
okay. It's okay.
with.
No problem.
So you're saying that you're going to learn more about teaching
My
strategies.
strategies. Yeah.
Can you please clarify that?
Excellent.
Yeah, strategies that can help my readers, such as critical thinking, learning through projects,
Awesome.
how to make effective discussions in the
Thank you
classroom.
so much.
So I
Thank you so
think
much.
I
So,
missed the two
thank you
sentences.
so much. So this is the type of you know, ideas we're talking about. It can be, it's mainly between the teacher and the students, and it can involve student to student approach if it really fosters the learning process. Okay, so we mentioned these three. Now, what about the other moves? Of course, due to the limitations of time, I will mention them. But hopefully, I mean, I won't be able to do a very, you know, an activity on them, but I will tell you what I mean. Of course, you can, anybody who needs the slides can refer back to me later on. I have no, I mean, I'm fine with sharing them. Okay, so now, what am I gonna do? We're gonna talk about, just one second, please, because I cannot see my screen now. Okay, now, so post and connect. What's posting? It's mainly a move in which a speaker, usually the teacher, gives other participants a space to respond. And then the speaker may provide further support by asking connecting questions. For how do we do so? Of course, for example, I'm hearing, let's say, for example, Islam, you talk to someone, for example, I'm hearing you say that X said, I'm hearing you said that X, another student said this and that. Why would X make such a claim? Okay, guys, can you please, okay, please just turn off your mics so we make use of time. For example, X is saying this. Who can add on to X's point? See, you're giving a space, participants a space to respond, and then you ask further support by asking connecting questions. X is saying this, while Y is saying this. Can anyone build on one of these ideas or provide an alternative claim? So this is post and connect. You say what somebody is saying, and then you ask by connecting questions. The fourth one is step back. From what and I realize I have like 6 minutes left, Ms. Juman, so don't worry, inshallah, I will finish on time. Step back. Teachers let other participants respond to one another without stepping into the discussion. For example, you let the students, it's a student-centered approach. You start a discussion, and then students respond to each other. And then if a student asks you, you'd use a phrase like, don't ask me, ask the class. What do you all think? You can mention a phrase like, I'm stepping out of this part and let you all discuss together. So it's mainly stepping out, giving room, not stepping out, you know, just to make it like the ultimate goal is for them to make it a more student-centered learning environment without an intervention, a direct intervention from the teacher. And the last one, create think time. So for example, the teacher gives an opportunity for students to think. For example, somebody asks a question. You'd be like, for example, if you look in the gray area, this is an interesting question. Take a minute to, for example, to write your notes down in your copy, in your notebook, and I will call on a few people to share. So this fosters critical thinking, not just taking in what they understood, it's sharing it with their class. For example, grab a neighbor and take 2 minutes to check in where they are at. We've been sitting here for a while. For example, stand up, find a partner on who has similar feelings as you. For example, these are only prompts and you can tailor it the way you see suitable. So, and then the last thing I want to mention, I have 5 minutes left. So I have a fishbowl strategy. This is actually something, it's adding on to the 6 main moves. I just wanted to mention it because it's related to instructional dialogue. So my talk was mainly about the 6 moves. This is something additional. I just wanted to mention it due to its relation and direct contact with my topic. What is the fishbowl strategy? It's mainly, if you look at the diagram, or if you look at the drawing, or the picture, what do you see? What do you see? Students are separated into an inner and outer group. What do? In the inner circle, students discuss. And in the outer circle, students listen to the discussion and take notes. Okay, and then this fosters a discussion environment in the class. This is something you can do for many topics. The idea is simple and you can tailor it the way you see suitable for sure. So in summary, we have 6 main moves: ask, press, revoice, post and connect, step back, and create think time. Of course, the fishbowl strategy is something additional that's related to this topic. So now it's time for action. After I had mentioned the 6 instructional teacher moves, can you jot down like a few notes in the chat which instructional move you will apply in your next lesson at your universities, at your classes? Can you please write down? So ask, press, revoice. It's not rejoice, Asil, but thank you so much. Thank you, Nafisa, for your wonderful feedback. Fishbowl, ask, press. You can use them, of course. You can use more than one depending on your purpose, of course. All of them. Thank you, Maram, for your wonderful feedback. All of them, absolutely amazing. Revoice. You can use them, of course, in any way you see suitable. It's not like you have to use this for this skill or for that skill. You can use it in a way you see very suitable and according to your session. Step back is really amazing. Thank you, Shiraz. Revoice, you mean? Thank you for this. Okay, thank you. Okay, so after I had mentioned, nice, Shen, thank you. Thank you for your wonderful feedback. So now, before I know I have Ms. Juman 2 minutes left. Don't worry, I am.
It's okay. You have a couple more minutes. It's okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Juman. Okay, so after mentioning, I'll just read some more. Are they fit? I couldn't read because of the many comments. Maybe we apply. Yes, we want the slides. We need the record. Okay, everything is recording, as I noticed. Thank you. Okay, thank you for attending. I wanted my session to be short, simple things you can just take with you directly to the classroom. You can use some of the triggers or the questions or the slides, the phrases I use directly. Just take them. Of course, this needs practice. Of course, the more you practice, the better you will be. These are things you can directly take. I didn't want to complicate things. Just take as is, apply them, and I guarantee you the flow of your class will be different. Of course, I'm talking from a personal perspective. So it works really amazing. Of course, we're not talking only about university classrooms in classes in schools. This works amazing in university classes, English, teaching English, absolutely, in workshops, anything. You can tailor it the way you want. So I'm happy for your wonderful feedback and what you will be using. And I'm happy to see the amazing number of participants. Really, it makes me so happy. Okay, so after time for action, we did it. And then last but not least, I want you, please, of course, Ms. Juman, do I have like 2 minutes? Is it okay?
Yes, I can give you 2 minutes.
Okay, great. Because I just wanted to hear some voices instead of because I wanted to mix it. Who can please write down in the chat box a key takeaway that inspired you the most in my workshop? It would really make me happy. And in the meantime, can anybody share using their voice? I would really love to hear some feedback from you about a key takeaway, something you would like to take away directly to your classroom. I would go with, I am seeing some hands. Al Maram, is it Maram? I opened your mic. Maram Al.
Maram Al Bahoul. Yes, it was very
Welcome,
informative.
Maram.
It was very informative and short to the point. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Maram, can you give me a key takeaway? Like something you would
Well,
take away for your classroom directly?
One of the techniques that you
Yeah.
showed, which is the revoice, I
Excellent.
liked it most. I think it will work perfectly with my primary students
Awesome.
because yes, they like to share their ideas most of the time.
Excellent.
So we could apply it in many ways, not
And
only
I
with the teachers
guarantee
and
you,
students,
yes.
but we can use it, student to students.
Excellent. Absolutely. I will take just one, Imad, Yusra Imad, please. A key takeaway from you or any feedback. I would love to hear your takeaway, please, first.
First of all, thank you for your precious workshop.
Thank you so
And for
much.
me, I will focus more and more on active feedback from students themselves.
Excellent.
I will focus on interactive discussion. For example, if I give a question for a student and he will not answer, I will not give him the correct answer immediately.
Excellent.
I apply this and I will focus more and more on this because it's very important and it improves its interactive and its activity and and its ability to make students learn more and more and to depend on self-correction even in their exams.
Thank you so much. See,
Yeah.
this is why I mentioned Mrs. A and Mrs. B at the beginning for you to derive. I'll take one more. Do I have Razan? Razan, please.
Mr. Atta, this has to be the last one.
Last one, sure. I promise
Yes.
you.
Okay. Thank you so much for the informative session. Actually, one takeaway message is that instructional dialogue, it's a two-way conversation rather than a traditional one-way conversation. And I think one of the tools or techniques I would use is press and revoice. I think they were the most interesting and beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Razan. Thank you all. And this would be the end of my in what I hope you found a very informative session for you to take directly to your classroom. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Juman, for your wonderful moderation. And please, if you have, I don't know, is it like a question answer, Ms. Juman, or what
I
you suggest?
think due to the nature of a very interactive session, we won't have time for a Q&A, but I'm glad that they were able to our participants were able to ask you questions and you were able to engage them.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Atta, for an insightful and very engaging session.
Thank you
Your
so much.
perspectives on instructional dialogue have given us much to reflect on as we continue working towards more inclusive and effective English language teaching practices. I would also like to thank our audience for their active participation and thoughtful engagement throughout the session. We hope today's discussion inspires new ideas, meaningful conversations, and continued collaboration among educators and professionals in our field. On behalf of the Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University, thank you for being part of the 4th Annual English Language Conference 2026. We look forward to seeing you in the next sessions, and we wish you a productive and inspiring conference experience. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much.
Recording in progress.
They are asking to share the slides as you promised at the beginning of the
I'm gonna put
session,
the
Mr.
link,
Khan.
the Padlet.
Maybe
Yes.
you can, yes. Maybe
Yes,
you
I will
can
put the Padlet.
share a
Definitely.
Padlet link.
Yes.
That was
I'm
amazing.
going to put the Padlet link, and on the Padlet, I want you to think of what will you stop, what will
you start and what will you continue based on this learning in your classroom, so that you can start steering PBL or differentiation differently, and also keeping in mind, as we said with PBL, also the same with differentiation. I don't plan my lesson and then add differentiation. No, it doesn't work this way. I design around it. I build around it within the essence.
Excellent.
Okay, so
Excellent,
as I want to leave you with the quote, giving students something to do, not something to learn. The doing is of such a nature as to demand thinking, learning naturally results. I'm going to share the Padlet. Again, this is my page. If you have any questions, you can DM me. Let me put the Padlet link for you to keep it as a reference.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Duha.
Our audience
Recording
did
in
too.
progress.
On behalf of Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University, we would like to thank you for being part of this fourth annual English language conference, and we look forward to seeing you in the upcoming session. We have another strand of sessions, which I'm sure you're going to benefit a lot from as well. So thank you very much, dear audience, and
enjoy the rest of the
Recording in
conference.
progress.
There's one more set of sessions.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. I think we have a good audience number. So in a minute, we can start. So Dr. Gada, I will introduce you in a minute or two, and then I'll give you the mic to present your workshop.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Right. Okay, I will start now, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for everyone. I am Bilal Obeidat, Doctor of Educational Leadership, and works for Queen Rania Teacher Academy as a Senior Educator Specialist. Please allow me to welcome you all to the 4th Annual English Language Conference 2026, jointly organized by the Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University. This year's conference theme, Inclusive English Teaching in a Changing World, reflects our shared commitment to creating learning environment where every student feels seen, valued, and empowered to succeed. Over the course of this conference, educators, researchers, and practitioners, from around the world are coming together to exchange ideas, share experiences, and explore innovative approaches to English language teaching in today's rapidly evolving educational landscape. At QRTA, the mission has always centered on empowering educators and improving the quality of teaching and learning through professional development, collaboration, and innovation. Together with GSU, this partnership continues to build bridges between global expertise, and local educational impact, making this conference an important platform for meaningful dialogue and professional growth. Before we begin, I would like to encourage everyone to actively participate in today's session. As you listen to the presentation, please feel free to prepare your questions and share them in the chat box throughout the session. We will have a question and answer segment at the end of this session, where the speaker will address as many of your questions and comments as possible. It is now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Dr. Ghada Abul Hassan As-Sayed. Dr. Ghada holds a doctorate in educational leadership and management and brings 30 years of expertise in teaching, program design, and teaching training, a former Nile TESOL president and instructor at AUC's Graduate School of Education, dedicated to mentoring educators and advancing initiatives that empower teachers and school leaders. Today, Dr. Ghada will be speaking with us about From Correction to Connection, Rethinking Feedback in the English Language Classroom for Arabic-Speaking Learners. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Ghada. Yes, Dr. Ghada.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bilal, for introducing me. Thank you, everybody, for having me here today with you. It is a great pleasure to be among this wonderful group of educators. And today, I will take you on a quick journey from correction to connection. We're going to try together to rethink feedback in our English language classrooms and try together to find ways of making feedback a more effective tool to help us improve our students' achievement and language learning. So this is going to be our quick roadmap. We will start asking a question about what feedback is. We will also explore together quickly, why do students ignore feedback? We will talk about a feedback model that we can use in our classes in order to turn correction into action and feedback into a conversation. Then we're going to talk about structured peer feedback and how we can also make use of that. Finally, we will close the feedback loop together and see how we can use AI as a feedback partner. So, are you ready? Let me take you on that quick journey. First of all, have you ever been in this situation as a teacher where you gave students feedback, but then you found something like this? I gave the feedback, but nothing really changed. Give me like thumbs up if you have been through this before in the chat box, or just thumbs up. Have you been through that situation before? I gave my students feedback, but nothing happened, nothing changed. Anything like this? Or maybe anything like this. The students look at the grade, but not look at the comments. I exerted a lot of effort in writing my comments or saying something to my students, but they just were interested in the grade. Did I get the full mark? Why didn't I get the full mark? Did you ever experience this? My students keep making the same mistakes again and again. Yeah, well, taking care of the marks that they are given. Yes. Same mistakes, same mistakes. They repeat the same mistakes. Well, if you have been through all of this, so, well, let's get together into that quick presentation. Maybe I will be of help. Now, first of all, what is feedback? Can you tell me what is feedback? Write me in the chat box, what do you think feedback really is all about? Sorry, reflection. Yes, it is reflection. What else? Nice. What did happen? Guided. Points to learn from. An assessment. Yes. Knowledge. Yes, yes. Chance to communicate and understand. Yes. How will we get? Okay. Well, reviews, analysis. A kind of assessment. Weak and strong point. It's a GPS. I like that. Give information about students' performance. Well, great. It is all of that. It is a form of guidance for our students, a form of assessment. It is knowledge and information. So, in the field of education, when we mention feedback, we are talking about some information that we are giving about our students' performance. So, if a teacher is giving feedback to a student, we are providing some information about that student's performance. The problem is that feedback is not about just delivering the information. It is about whether this information is going to be of use. Is the student going to make use of that feedback? Or is it just going to be provided and then the student doesn't do anything with it? Because when this happens, we're not then giving feedback, we're just giving information, something that is useless and that is more of a waste of time and a waste of effort. When the student gets the feedback and feels like, what did I do? I didn't really understand. Or when they feel, I don't want to listen to this is too much, or this is criticism and I don't like it. Or when the student feels, does my teacher need me to do something? Is there another thing I don't really know? Or when the student feels overwhelmed, like, this is too much, I can't do it because it's a lot. We're talking here about feedback that has resulted in confusing the student rather than helping the student. Students usually ignore feedback because something has gone wrong when you are giving the feedback. When everything you say goes into one ear and then out from the other ear, this is probably because your feedback has been too much. It was overwhelming for the student. You gave them a lot of information about many, many things that they need to do or to work on, and they can't do that. Or because it was not clear what you really want them to do next. So the student thinks, what should I do? And then they reach no point, so they ignore it. It goes here and out from the other side. Sometimes it is also because your feedback was given in a time where the students didn't feel that they were able to act on it. So it was rushed, or you just told them something and you moved on to another student, or you asked them to move on to another task without really giving them enough time. So they didn't have time to act on it. And then they start to ignore it. Or when they over rely on the teacher, they think the teacher is going to correct the mistakes. If I leave it, the teacher is going to do it. The teacher will help me somehow. So then it becomes, well, if the teacher anyway will do it, why should I exert the effort? So feedback goes in one ear and out of the other. Dr. Bilal, do we have somebody raising their hand?
Yes, actually, we will give participants the opportunity to make any comments or ask questions when you are done with your presentation. So kindly go on, and
Okay.
we will give all participants the opportunity to ask their questions. We will give them roughly 5 to 10 minutes when
Okay.
Dr. Ghada is complete. Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, so, well, let me introduce you to this model of feedback where the teacher takes the steps slowly, step by step, in order to achieve real good feedback that has an impact. The first step is provide the student with what we call feed up. And here we are talking about telling the student where exactly they are going. So clarify the goals. Tell them about your idea about success criteria. What are your expectations? What do you really want them to do, and where do you want them to go? What is the destination? When the teacher says something like, sit properly, that's a little bit of feedback that the student really understands nothing from. Sit properly is very vague. And the student doesn't understand. Do you want me to sit properly, like sit back up? Do you want me to sit properly, like I sit at home? Do you have a specific idea about sitting properly? Similarly, when the teacher says, today we will continue Unit 3. Now, this is just a task with no real purpose that the student understands. What is Unit 3? What is it all about? What do you want me to get at the end of Unit 3, to be able to do at the end of Unit 3? So you need to give them more than just a title or a task. When you say something like, I'm going to explain to you the past tense, or I'm going to introduce to you some new vocabulary. Well, what the student really hears is the teacher is going to say something, to do something. It is a task for the teacher. It is not a task for the student. So what we should start with is telling them very clearly, very specifically, what you want them to be able to do. What is your objective? How are you going to understand if they were successful? And what exactly are your expectations in detail? Next step is they start to work, and then you look and you assess, and you give them the feedback. And this is the point where you inform the student about how they are doing. Are they doing a good job, or are they not doing a good job? But just telling them good job or giving them thumbs up is not enough. Or telling them something like, oh, this is not good, is still not enough. You need at this point to give them information about their current performance that is also very detailed. What is good, what is bad, with all the possible details that you can give, so that the student can understand, yes, now I know what was good about my performance, so I can keep doing that, or what was bad, so I can think alone or with the teacher about how to improve. Next, we move on to feed forward. And feed forward is this point where we say, what is the next step? So the teacher suggests what is to be done. Is there any step that the student has to take? Is there a strategy that they have to follow for improvement? It's kind of giving the student the next point on the map towards the destination. So at this point, the student knows exactly, this is my destination, this is where I was heading, now I am here, and this is what I should do to reach the next point. The thing is that feedback should not stop at one point. It is not just a middle point, which we usually go for. Usually we wait for them to do the work and make mistakes, or even do a good job and just tell them something that is not specific at all. And then we wonder what happened. Why didn't they improve? The story starts with informing them first about what you want, detailed information about what they did, and then giving them good guidance about what's next. So, how can we turn correction into action? What do we need to do that? As I said, it must be feedback that tells students what to do next. So instead of saying something like, check your verb tense, there's something wrong with the verb tense, why don't we say something like, rewrite this paragraph using past simple and focus on the verbs the second and the fourth line, or from the second to the fourth line. Now the student knows it is the verb tense, it's a problem with the past, and the problem is right here. So what I should do next is rewrite. There is an action that I can measure as a teacher. And then, if you want feedback to be even more successful, we need to make it dialogic. We need to turn it into a conversation that leads the students to thinking and understanding and real improvement of their performance. For example, instead of saying, incorrect sentence, you didn't write this in the correct way, why don't we try something that is more conversational? Start a dialogue with the student. Why do you think this verb is wrong? And now the student thinks Why is it wrong? At this point, you will be getting a lot of information as a teacher. If they understand, they will think and they will reach why it is wrong. If they don't, they will be telling you, I don't know. And now this is very informative for you as a teacher. They don't know. So maybe I need to reteach this part or a bigger part. Try saying something like, can you fix this? And when the student says, yes, I can, this is very motivating, this is very empowering, and it gives you an indication as a teacher that they understand and they can. Perhaps it was just a slip, perhaps they were not concentrating, so they will be able to do it. And as usual, if they say, no, I cannot, you can take them step by step towards finding out what's wrong. Now, let's practice together. A student writes, yesterday I go to the market and buy fruits. And the teacher goes, now, wrong verb tense. What can we say in order to make this dialogic? What can we say in order to make this a conversation? Can you tell me what to say? Okay, give me questions that you can ask a student in order to give them that autonomy instead of telling them. What can we try? Okay, try again. Okay, first step. Rewrite the sentence. Can we work together? I like that one. Can we work together? What do you think went wrong? Yes. Yesterday. Well, if you say yesterday, I went to the supermarket and bought, you're giving them the answer. Take care. Word it in a different way. Don't you think it would be better if we used yes, yes? You're always asking a question that makes the student think. So perhaps we can go for, are we talking about past or present? So you try to draw their attention that there is the word yesterday. And you say something like, can you check the verbs? Do they match the time word yesterday? Look at here. Look at this word yesterday. Do you think the verb in your sentence matches yesterday? How can you change these verbs to show the past? What did we talk about? Now you're reminding them of what you explained or what we talked about before. They are thinking, and that's the whole trick. Look at that one too. If the student writes, there are many students in the class, instead of the teacher saying plural form, you used the wrong form, you need to use plural. What can you say that is more conversational? Give it a try in the chat box. Yes, how many students are there? Are you talking about one or more? How should we change this? Students is giving them a hint. We don't want to give them the answer directly. Yes, one student? Yes, thank you. Maybe using body language. One student, one, or many students? There are plenty of students in the classroom. Yes, excellent. So exactly, we might use, we need a singular or a plural after the word many. What's the plural of student? Do we have one student or more? And then, can you fix the noun? So remember, can you do that? So I want to check if they can or they cannot. Now, let's try some have a little bit of an Arab learner focus, because the Arabic language is very unique and it always affects the problems that we see in the classes. So if a student says, yesterday I go to school and see my friend, this is probably because the Arabic language handles tense differently. So first of all, we need to think, why did this mistake happen? Is this the effect of the first language, the mother tongue? And instead of saying wrong tense, use the past, we might go for something that is more dialogic and say, what does yesterday tell us about time? So now they figure out it is past. Do the verbs in your sentence match the past or match that time? Can you change the two verbs or perhaps even point, where are the verbs? Can you change them to show the past? And then finally, read the sentence again. sound right now? So again, they are correcting for themselves. This time, I'll let you do it. If the student says, she very happy today, what is missing? What's the problem here? Why did a student of first language, Arabic first language, say something like, she very happy today? Why do you think they would say that? Yeah, it's missing the verb, simply because, yes, exactly, that's literal translation, because in Arabic, we don't have this verb to be. We don't have this structure. So how can we make this more dialogic, better than saying verb is missing? Where is the verb? Yes, think again. Well, instead of saying you must write is and giving them the answer right away, make it more conversational. How is she feeling? Okay. Yeah, well, there is no helping verb in Arabic. That's the main problem. You're right. How about trying something like this? Is this sentence complete? What do you think is missing in this sentence? Excellent. Do we need a verb here? Do we need something? Let's search for the missing word. I like that. What verb connects she and happy? What's something that's missing here? One part of the sentence is missing. And finally, can you say the full sentence now? And if the student reads the sentence and still doesn't realize where the mistake is, this is the point where the teacher understands, now I need to fix this with the student by maybe re-explaining or working again on this part. And it's very good because it will always show you where is the student. Does the student have a problem with the whole lesson, or does the student have a problem with part of the lesson? So do I need to re-explain the whole thing or not? Another example is here when the student says, I bought a car yesterday. The problem is, of course, Arabic article system differs. We don't have the articles that look like a, an, and the in the Arabic language. Instead of immediately telling the student to add an article, yes, thank you. There's something missing. How many cars? I like that. Okay, what else can we say? I bought a car yesterday, again, is giving them the answer. Well, maybe we should think again. So how many cars? Yes, of course, it's missing the article. Is it one car or more? Excellent, yes. So we can take it more conversational. Are we talking about one specific car or any car? How many cars? Do we need something here? A, an, or the? Maybe remind them of this. You bought a car or more? What's the number? Great, great. And then you ask them which one fits here, which word is missing, which word fits here to complete that sentence. And finally, you can ask them to say the sentence again. So you have taken feedback into a conversation. It has become dialogic, and the student has gained a lot. They have found the mistake themselves, have understood where they stand, you have understood what they are missing or what they don't know, and it is real empowering of the students' learning. Another thing that we can do is structured peer feedback. And I'm talking here about feedback that is between two students. John William used to say, think about feedback as detective work. And peer work or peer feedback is all about giving the students a chance to gather the feedback themselves rather than take it from the teacher. We're talking here about a well-structured feedback experience where the students build their observations and find out the mistakes for themselves instead of just evaluated by the teacher. So both students working together are involved, are acting like detectives. They are reflecting on how well their work products align with the success criteria that you gave them in the very beginning. But in order to have good peer feedback, it has to be given some structure. You need to go and teach the students some steps. So maybe be very specific and tell them, step number one, you're going to find one strong point in your friend's or your partner's work. And then identify one issue. And the next step is suggest one improvement. So the students work according to steps, roadmap. Find one thing that is good or strong, one thing that is a problem, and suggest an improvement. And teach them sentence starters like tell your partner, I like this. This part is not clear or has got something wrong because, and you could improve this by. Now, when we follow this kind of structure, you are making the students not only find what is good or bad, but also you are putting them in a dialogue together, which is nice and kind, where they are providing the feedback in a sandwich. I like this, and giving reasons. So they will be really thinking. This is real metacognition. They think, this is wrong because, so they have to find evidence, justify. Not just telling their friend, I don't like this. It's not subjective, it has to be very objective. And when you teach them peer feedback, set expectations. Tell them exactly what they are supposed to look for. So you're going to be looking for good points and the mistakes in the verbs, in the subject-verb agreement, in, for example, the supporting sentences in this paragraph. Give them exactly what to look for and tell them what they can correct and how they can correct it. Go into the details of even telling them you can use your pencil and underline the mistake or the point that you find that you need to talk about, but do not write anything, or maybe write the correct word. Be very specific, because otherwise they feel that they are lost, they don't know what to do. And teach the right behaviors. Tell them that we are helpers, not judges. We are here to help each other. We are not here to judge in order to prevent any kind of bullying. And teach them to be kind and specific. We're not just telling an opinion. We are telling what is wrong or what is right, very specifically with evidence. You have to be nice to your peer. And tell them to always start with what works, so you encourage and motivate your friend or partner. And most importantly, teach them that when they receive peer correction, they have to appreciate it. They have to understand that your friend has been trying to help you and providing you with some good information that is going to make you improve. So be nice. And in order to close the feedback loop, we as teachers have to see this visible, because if the students don't do something with the feedback, well, won't really value it. And you as a teacher need to check that it was used. So simply make it visible. Teach them to keep some correction logs for dictation or for mistakes in verbs, for example. Teach them that they need to rewrite the tasks, that they might highlight the changes that they made in their writing or in their sentences. Whatever tool that you see is possible and easy to make sure that they have done what they should do. And my advice is keep very tight records. Who has corrected, who has not? Because that's how you're going to follow up, and that's how they will understand that it is important to work on the feedback. What about AI? All the students and the teachers use AI now. We cannot deny that. They're going to use AI. It's a good tool, and we as teachers love it and use it. So teach your students that AI is a good tool. It can help you with grammar suggestions, with rewriting sentences, with generating examples, but insist on having your students evaluate whatever suggestions they get from feedback from the AI. Let them understand that you will not accept anything that is just AI unless they can give you a good justification. Maybe compare the versions that the AI is providing. Maybe, for example, asking them to, ask the AI to give you suggestions or two alternatives or different examples or sentences, but you have to be able to explain why and how it is better or how it is correct. Why did you choose to use that one? So always insist on giving the students this little space of thinking. They have to think. Well, wrap up, remember to use the model, feed up, feedback, feed forward. Make sure that your feedback is always in some form of dialogue. It is a dialogic questioning conversation. Use peer feedback that is structured, where the students know what to look for, how to look for, whatever, and how to say it in a nice, kind way. And use different ways to make sure that feedback has been put into action. And finally, allow them to use AI and support that. AI is fine, but teach them that they have to know what is behind this. What is the evidence? What is the justification for the choice or for whatever sentences or writing paragraphs or ideas that they got from the AI? Well, Dr. Bilal, I would like to end with just reminding our teachers that feedback is not about correcting mistakes. It is about creating a change. That's what we want in the end. So always think proper feedback fuels improvement. Yet, if it is not delivered properly, it is a waste of time and a waste of effort. And our role as teachers is not just to correct the mistakes, it is to guide the students to fix their own mistakes. And that's the shift from correction to connection. Remember that your learners need more than correction. They need a clearer pathway to self-correction. I'm done, and these are my references, and I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ghada. That
You're
was a
welcome.
very interesting session. If it is up to me, I would continue listening to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we have, the participants are beyond expectations. They have so many comments, and I'm sure they will have some questions. Actually, you used a very catchy title, From Correction to Connection. I like it so much. The title is really getting our attention. And I think it is time for our question and answer session. If one of our participants like to ask questions or make comments, feel free to write them on the chat box, or you can ask them directly. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to post them right now. I'm sure Dr. Ghada is ready to address any question. Miss Majida Aldmour, yes, please. Miss Majida, you have, okay, you have to unmute. Okay. Can you unmute your mic, Miss Majida? Yes, now I think you can ask the question.
Yes,
Then we
yes.
have, yes, please.
My question is about if I can have the presentation or if you can send us the presentation.
Okay, this is
for Dr. Ghada, yes.
Well, if you would like to email me, I certainly can send you my presentation. Of course, I'd be very happy to do that.
Yeah, thank you. We enjoyed your lesson. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have, I'm not sure how to read the name, sorry. Aida or yes, please go ahead. You can ask your question. Apologies for not being able to read your name the right way. Aida or Aida Al-Maghafi. Yes, please. You can unmute your mic or you can read the write the question. Yes, please. Miss Aida, I think maybe.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My question was just about what's the best way to give feedback to early years learners?
Okay. Well, early year learners are just the same. You need to give them feedback in the same way, but use language that is understandable for them. So use simple questions, simple sentences. Well, one of the things that we do is that we think that young learners, especially the very young ones, cannot correct the mistakes by themselves. But well, you will be amazed if you give them a chance. If you put two things in front of them, like let's say they are writing letters, they are still learning how to write the letters in the correct direction, and they write something that is not correct, or they don't follow the correct directions. Thank you very much, Ms. Majida. Modeling. Put the right one in front of them and just ask them to look at it. I'm sorry, Dr. Bilal.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ghada. We have the last two questions for Mr. Maher and then Ms. Noura. Yes, please. Mr. Maher.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Ghada, for this fruitful session. Thank you so much, Mr. Bilal. It's very useful, actually. Wallah, I loved it. I loved the way you presented it. And actually, you modeled what you were saying while you were presenting, Wallah. My question is, don't you think that I all the time believe it's in how you say it, not what you say, like in the feedback. Let's summarize this way. Don't you think that it's related to the culture? Like in some cultures, you have to be direct, in others, you have to be indirect. Don't you think that the culture has something to do with the feedback you give, like whether it's direct or indirect? This is my question. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course, culture affects everything. So you need to be aware of the culture of your classroom and your students. But if you are not, I mean, we don't go very direct. I don't want it to be criticism. I want it to be feedback. If you say it so softly, you say, well, I think there is something. No, you have to say it with the correct body language. And still, you're asking a question directly to the student. What do you And even when you say what is good, you do the same thing. I mean, it has to be direct. Yes, you are direct with what you say, but you're still kind and nice and encouraging. And of course, it depends on your knowledge of the culture and the background of your students. Some students would need more of detailed sentences, maybe a little bit more guidance. And some students would just get it by using body language. If you say, something wrong, they will just understand. Others need you to verbalize and to say this. So you understand your students. But yes, of course, culture differs and makes a lot of difference in what they receive.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ghada, and that was a nice question. I apologize for the rest of the participants. I'm sure we have so many other questions, but due to time restrictions, we have to close this session. So I would like to thank Dr. Ghada again for this insightful and engaging session. I would like also to thank the audience for their active participation and thoughtful engagement throughout the session. We hope today's discussion inspires new ideas, meaningful conversations, and continued collaboration among educators, professionals in our field. And finally, on behalf of the Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University, I would like to thank you all for being part of the 4th Annual English Language Conference 2026. We look forward to seeing you again in the next session, and we wish you all a productive and inspiring conference experience. So thank you, everyone, and see you next year, inshallah. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Ghada.
you so much, Dr. Bilal, for hosting this session, and thanks a lot for the Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University for having me here today. Thank you, everybody, for attending. If
Thank you
anyone
so
would
much.
need to